Yep, Charlamagne the God.
Andrew Schultz.
Today's episode of The Brilliant Idiots is brought to you by Bevel.
Yeah.
It's the first and only shaving system designed for coarse, curly hair and sensitive skin. So stop screwing up your face with those other razors and let Bevel keep you smooth and bump free. Get the first month of your Bevel subscription for free by going to getbevel.com/idiots. It's on us. Start shaving smarter today. Now, this is like
today's episode is also brought to you by Squarespace.
Oh, doubled up on pre-rolls.
That's right, baby. New year, new you. January's almost over. Cut the BS, okay? If you want to make a new move that'll really make a scene, do it with Squarespace. Whether you need a landing page, a professional blog, or a 9-street. Are you fucking with me? With the what is that?
I have no idea what that is.
I don't know.
Or a NLNESTRE.
A non-straight.
A non-straight,
a
Page's boyfriend, Squarespace, allows you to create a custom platform where you can make your latest goals into reality. So start your free trial today at squarespace.com and enter the offer code IDIOT to get 10% off your first purchase. Make your next move with Squarespace. Real quick website update, by the way. I think it will be updated on Brilliant. No. He's so excited. He's so excited. No, but this is totally separate. We got we're starting an email list. You can sign up on, I think it will be at brilliantidiots.com by tomorrow, or when this is up. It will be at it's at theandrewschultz.com. Hopefully that will be up as well. And then we'll get it on your website too, whenever is possible.
Okay.
And basically what I want to do is I want everybody who listens, give us your email. This is the best way that we can connect with you for live shows, for the book tour that Charlamagne's going to be going on, for my live shows, for Brilliant Idiot shows. And what I think that we should do is the cities that give us the most emails, because you have to put your city and state in, I think we'll target those for live shows first. So if you and all your friends are in a city, and make sure you sign up on that email list, because we're going to collect them all.
It's like a roll call.
It's basically,
So whoever, that's like a roll call, like, back in the day in radio, they would have the schools call up to the radio station.
Yeah.
And whoever called up with the most shout-outs for their school,
went there.
We go visit that school.
That's how I want to do it, because I want to go where the people are. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So if it turns out, I don't care where if you're in the tiny little city in Canada, fucking Venezuela, it doesn't matter. If you really are bringing it on that email list, we're going to come do it. We're going to come visit you guys. So make sure you do that. Check that out. So you can do it at theandrewschultz.com, brilliantidiots.com, and then I think we should get it. Who's in charge of your website? Because I'll make sure that they put it on
I'm putting up
a
new site right now. But
so when that's ready, we're going to get on Charlamagne's website as well.
But also, please, everybody, thank you, man. I'm seeing all the pictures. I got to start reposting some of these, but I'm seeing all the pictures of y'all in Brilliant Idiots merch.
Oh, yeah.
I really appreciate that, man. Continue to go to brilliantidiotsmerch.com. Salute to High U Clothing. This isn't a once-in-a-lifetime thing. This is something that we're going to constantly be doing. Y'all want Brilliant Idiots merchandise? We should have been had Brilliant Idiots merchandise. But hey, we got Brilliant Idiots merchandise now.
Shout out to Karen for making that happen, by the way.
Karen, man. Karen is my manager. Karen don't bullshit. Karen gets things done.
Yeah. So
you hear
shout
me?
out to her.
So yes, go to brilliantidiotsmerch.com, get you a hoodie, get you some socks, get you a t-shirt, and just keep supporting the Brilliant Idiots. And please go to Amazon, go to Barnes & Nobles.
Oh, yeah.
And pre-order my book, Black Privilege, Opportunity Comes to Those Who Create It. I got a website for that too. April 18th. Yeah, April 18th. I got a website, See the Book, CTHABOOK.com. But all See the Book does is take you to Barnes & Nobles and Amazon. So you can just go straight to Amazon, straight to Barnes & Nobles, and buy my book, Black Privilege, Opportunity Comes to Those Who Create It. Pre-order. It'll be out April 18th.
Now if you're on Amazon, you can also check out Sneaky Pete. I did a few episodes of this show. It's this new Giovanni Ribisi show with Bryan Cranston.
It's a TV show?
It's a TV show, yeah. They have TV shows.
I didn't know what the fuck
movies.
people was talking. I keep seeing people tweet you Sneaky Pete.
Oh, dude.
I'm just waiting for the pedophile scandal to happen. I'm like, this fucking peeping Tom.
I got the mustache for it. So, but no, it's this. So Amazon's been doing a bunch of TV, and dude, that's the next way. I want to do Netflix or Amazon, wherever I go with TV. Those are the places. But Amazon is so dope, and it's crazy. Remember when we first did Guy Code, and you saw the explosion of like response on Twitter?
Absolutely.
Just random people hitting you up. Yeah. Right? Because it was just this popular show.
Yeah.
I've done shows that aren't as popular. You know, not that they weren't good, but they just weren't as popular. Bender's wasn't as popular. But Sneaky Pete, I did 2 scenes in a couple episodes, and the response on Twitter has been crazy. Like, it's different
people
when you're on
watching.
a show. People are watching, yeah.
I know that feeling. Humble brag. I experience it every day. because of the Breakfast Club.
Right,
No,
right,
seriously.
right.
You know what I'm saying?
I do know what
we,
you're saying.
we interviews go out on YouTube, and I immediately know when we got us a winner.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
and,
yeah,
and
yeah.
like I just know, like the responses are crazy. So yeah.
It's just cool to see that people are fucking
Absolutely.
with it.
And it
just
also
such
can
a
hurt your
random
feelings
thing.
too, because some shows you do, and you don't get no response. Like, I'm never doing this.
Shout out to Benders. Shout out to Benders. Great show, but people didn't really fuck with it. Oh, last thing about shows, Philly. I'm coming this weekend. Hopefully, I make it out alive. And
You ain't been there since you was slandering Philly?
No, this is my first weekend back. Wow. I'll be there Thursday, Friday, Saturday at Helium Comedy Club. Don't kill me.
They don't got nothing to do but focus on fucking you up. The
I know.
Eagles ain't around no more.
It just rated
Sixers suck.
the most rat-infested city in the United States of America.
What?
Yeah.
Well, you know what that means?
What is that?
Cheap prices at the Chinese restaurants. Like, you know what I mean? That lunch special gonna be $1.99.
You hang out with Steve Harvey too much. Look at Chris. Chris is furious at these comments. Yo, Chris, how'd you feel about that Steve Harvey comment?
By the way, that is not an insult to the Asian community.
Oh, here we go.
That's an insult to people who own Chinese restaurants.
Oh, we're talking about the food.
Yes, all the right. Because all you gotta do is Google.
Yeah.
You'll find so many stories of freezers full of all kind of different animals, rats, eagles, all kind of shit.
Oh,
The
they'll eat
motherfuckers that
anything.
own Chinese restaurants are just serving them anything.
Let me tell you some shit. I went to Asia, right? I went to Malaysia and Singapore. Asians will eat anything. There literally is nothing.
Now, I don't know about that.
Anything, Charlamagne.
Oh, that's true, Chris?
Anything. They will outlive all of us just because they can eat literally anything. They'll eat a jellyfish. There was a dried lizard, spread eagle, legs and arms, spread eagle. You held the lizard by the tail. The tail was dried as well, and you just ate it like a fucking lollipop, like a
By the way,
popsicle
why
stick.
wouldn't you eat a rat?
Say
And I'm going
again?
to tell you why.
That's kind of the point.
Why wouldn't you eat a rat?
It's kind of like South Carolina, right? If there's roadkill, if there's food, make use of it.
But also, you are what you eat. Rats live a long time.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you eat a rat? And they've clearly tasted.
There's no logical reason why. Like, why wouldn't you eat a dog? I think you should be able to eat dog. They eat dog in China.
You'll never know. You fry that motherfucker curry, that shit right, throw some jerk sauce on it. You be like, damn, this shit good as
Some
a motherfucker.
sriracha?
Nobody cares.
I fuck with sriracha.
It's just meat. I keep telling y'all, we should have ate Harambe.
I would have eaten a harambe. I would have eaten a
Don't let all that
harambe.
flesh go to waste.
That's true. Nice slow cook.
What? That Harambe
Yeah.
burger was probably fire.
It would have been dope. No,
Rotisserie
for real.
harambe.
Yeah, you should put it on the kids menu.
Now listen, let's just get to it. Talk about our guy Taxstone.
Yep.
I really don't know what to say. The only thing I can tell you is that Tax was my man before this situation. He's gonna be my man after this situation, and he's currently incarcerated. I think we're recording on a Wednesday. I think he got a bond on Tuesday, and the prosecutor appealed his bond. So he has to have a hearing about his appeal today. So if they keep the bond, then he will get a bond. I think it's $500,000. If they revoke the bond, then he's just got to sit it down for a little while.
So basically what that means is you can get a bond which allows you to be outside of prison while you await trial.
Yeah, I mean, from the stipulations that I was told, he'll be able to be on house arrest and he'll still be able to do the podcast.
Right.
So
actually, that would be honestly, if he was in jail, that would be the coolest podcast. Like through the phone, the jail phone. That would.
a
Shineverse podcast.
Listen, man, I don't know what happened in Irving Plaza on that fateful night.
Yeah.
I just know a lot of people's lives would change forever. And I wish the best for Troy Ave. Rest in peace to Banger. And like I said, Taxstone was my man before he went in. He's gonna be my man afterwards. That's just how I roll. You know what I mean? Unless you out here fucking kids, you know what I mean? Are you a serial rapist?
What about just one rape?
That's that too.
You could forgive. You could forgive.
I mean, but those are tricky too. We've had these conversations. No, I'm saying, why we got to talk about rape anyway? But I'm saying,
It was just weird that you said serial.
Because those are tricky too. Because it could be I've had a criminal sexual conduct charge. It could be like a Nate Parker situation.
It wasn't guilty. You weren't convicted of it.
Yeah, but to everybody, to the public perception, yes.
Go like this. You got some shit in your face.
Don't talk to me about rape and then ask me to wipe my mouth. What's wrong with you?
If I want to rape you later, I want your mouth to be clean. The least you could do is get that shit off.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, man. I don't know. It's just a tragic situation all around. I ain't gonna front. I was real depressed about it.
Yeah,
I'm still depressed about it because it's just pointless.
Yeah,
like literally, it's just all pointless. All of this shit just seems pointless. It just all seems very negative. I still don't know what's what in the whole situation.
Yeah,
and I know people are like, yes, you do. I don't know shit. Yeah. You know why?
Why?
Because I don't go to nigga shit.
Yeah.
So you know where I was at when that shit happened at Irving Plaza?
Where?
Home.
Really?
Because I don't talk to niggas after 5 o'clock.
Interesting.
All right? Okay?
Yeah.
I don't frequent those kind of environments, and I keep telling y'all this shit over and over. I won't. And I don't care what y'all say about it, all right? Because I understand the element. I know what's out there. I ain't got time for it.
Yeah.
I got approached by 2 rappers in my whole life, Busta Rhymes and Mace. You know where I was at when I got approached by Busta Rhymes? Melanie Fiona's birthday party in Los Angeles, California, BET Awards weekend.
Okay.
When I got approached by Mace, you know where I was at? The Revolt Music Conference in Miami for the weekend.
Yeah.
So just me being the logical, smart brother I am, I don't want to get approached by rappers or anybody that I don't want to be bothered with.
Right.
Just don't go where them niggas be.
Interesting.
Why?
Interesting.
My life is amazing. You know where I was at yesterday? Marvel Comics.
That's right.
You know the only artist that came there? The Weeknd.
Hot.
All right? That's
Safe.
it.
Canadian.
Okay? I mind my business. Okay? Simple and plain. I don't want to be around that element. I don't know what was going on. I just know that if I need to go somewhere where I think I need a gun, I'm not going.
Right.
Simple as that.
Yeah, I think that's a safe way to live life.
Simple as that.
I got shit on by the gun lobby this week.
Why?
They came after me on Twitter.
For what?
I was thinking about rappers that brag about how many guns they have, and there was this whole Soulja Boy thing with the Draco, and I didn't even know what a fucking Draco was.
I still don't know what a Draco is.
I think it's
I've been
a
asking
type
my
of
homeboy
gun.
that shit all for the past since that shit
Yeah.
came out. What the fuck is a Draco?
I had no clue. I thought it was some kind of like vampire shit or something.
Yeah.
And then, but yeah, and I was like, and they're talking about all these guns, and I started to realize I was like, you're kind of just bragging about being afraid. Like the only reason you have a gun is because of fear, right? You're afraid that somebody's going to kill you, so you need to protect yourself with these guns. Granted, if you're a hunter or something like that, maybe, but I don't think any of these gangster rappers are doing a lot of hunting on the weekends. So I think they're doing it for fear-based situations. And
I saw that. I thought it was a good conversation you started because I was thinking to myself, if you feel like you need protection, is it because you're scared?
Absolutely.
Because even somebody like Mike Tyson had security.
Is he scared?
No, Mike Tyson was scared of what he may possibly do to somebody, so you keep people around you. Because you got to think, Mike was the type of person people would run up on Mike in the street, like, fight, Mike. So you need people to stay away from Mike.
Sure, but that's fear. I'm afraid that I might do something. I'm afraid that something might happen.
Okay.
Like some people say, hey, take my keys. Why do you want me to take your keys? Because I'm afraid that once I get drunk, I might still drive.
Yeah.
I think it's fear that motivates these things. And I said something that was kind of like taken out of context, and really people got upset at me, and the gun lobby got
Stop
upset.
telling these great thoughts on social media.
No, I know you're right, because they just get one bite at a time. They
We have
don't
a
get
podcast.
the whole story.
I got a radio show. You got stand up. I
know.
swear to God, go look at my timeline. I'm not giving thoughts no more, bro.
Yeah.
I'm posting pictures. I'm posting quotes, stuff like that. I'm not just tweeting. There's no. If the conversations I want to have, I'm going to come here and have.
But they're going to take
in
them out of
person.
context for me anyway. I mean, they do it all the time. It doesn't matter. They take it out of context.
Yeah,
but the basic point is I was like, listen, a brave person doesn't pull the trigger. A scared one does. And then people try to take that out of context and be like, what about soldiers, this, that, the other? And I go, yeah, they're
scared too, though.
They're scared too. You're pulling the trigger to save your life or to save someone else's
Absolutely.
life. And I even looked it up, the gun rules. Like they said the legal standard for using a gun is fear of life.
I mean, that's what the stand your ground law is.
Or fear of other people's lives.
Yeah, that's what the stand your ground law is.
Exactly. So I don't think there's anything wrong with being afraid. But then they kept saying, like, do you use a seatbelt when you're driving because you're afraid?
God,
and I go,
shut the fuck up.
yeah,
Yes.
I'm afraid I'm going to go right through the windshield of the car.
Listen, I hit a pothole this morning.
Yeah.
Right? I hit a pothole this morning.
Yeah.
Coming through the George Washington Bridge, I get a flat tire. I got to pull over on the Henry Hudson Parkway. It's 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
I got to call roadside assistance, but I still got to get to work, so I call an Uber as well, which is the worst. Fucking foreigner. Telling me he lived in New York his whole life, but can't find me on the Henry Hudson goddamn Parkway. Whatever. So I end up getting the Uber, so I finally get on the phone roadside
You're
assistance.
upset that a guy didn't know how to pick you up on the side of a highway?
It's the Henry Hudson Parkway, Schultz.
How
Jesus
often
Christ.
do you think an Uber driver's just picking you up on the side of the
Schultz,
highway?
I'm in between. I'm like, he's like, right where you at? I'm like, right in front of 125th.
On the highway, though.
On the side of the road. I said I'm on the side of the road with
On
my
the highway.
hazard lights on. No, I had pulled off the highway because they got the little banks that you can pull over and stuff.
fair
I
enough.
pulled over
Okay,
where you need roadside assistance. Like, what the fuck, bro? Like, whatever. So anyway, I'm like, when I call roadside assistance, the first thing she says to me,
Yeah.
are you in a safe place. That's the first thing she says to me. And I said, yeah, I'm in the Uber. She goes, no. Are you in a safe place? Meaning, am I good? Am I out of harm's way? Am I
like a
not
dangerous
afraid?
neighborhood?
Yeah, and also when you call roadside assistance, and this might be a better example.
Yeah.
When you call roadside assistance, they say they ask you a question. They say, if this is an emergency where you fear for your life, call 911. So I'm saying all that to say, everything we do is probably the basis of
Everything is fear-based. Everything is fear-based.
We got life insurance policies. We got health insurance.
Yeah.
Everything is based out of the fear this may happen.
Sure. And there's nothing, my point is there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think that you should be embarrassed. Like, fear keeps us alive. Like, there's that saying, like, if you're not afraid, then you'll die. Because fear is what motivates us to keep living. Like, I think even in the Batman movie, it's like you got to take off that. Remember when Christian Bale had to take off the string or whatever when he was in the jail underground, and he had to take off that string that was basically protecting him in case he fell when he was trying to climb out. And he was like, once you were forced to live or die, you could jump a little further because you know you had to reach that next step in order to keep living. So I think fear motivates us to live. I think it's a good thing. But it was just an interesting conversation.
Men, by the way, take the condom off. That's the best way to
Exactly. Pull
That's the best
out.
way to understand what we're talking about. Next time you're fucking a random too.
There we go.
Take that condom off and hit it raw.
Yeah, get permission. Make sure it's consensual.
Yeah.
But hit it raw because I guarantee when you hit it raw, you're going to pull out.
Yeah.
Guaranteed you're going to hit it raw.
But that's how you get over your fears.
Yeah.
You ain't worried about getting her pregnant.
No.
You ain't worried about getting an STD.
Nothing.
There's no better way to throw caution to the wind and
You
overcome your
can't get
fears
an STD
than good
if you're
unprotected sex with a
afraid.
random.
No, it's for real.
Say it again?
You can't get STD if you're afraid.
That's
the only
a fact.
people who get
That's in
STDs
the Bible.
are the confident ones.
There you go.
You got to be insecure when you're in there, and then all of a sudden,
There you go.
Look, fear's a good thing. But so basically, we got into this conversation about guns, and I learned a lot about the gun people. They had some interesting arguments. My whole life, I grew up in New York. You know, there was no guns. I thought guns were stupid. Like, let's get rid of fucking guns. And all of a sudden, I had these gun owners tweeting me personal stories that were really interesting for me to hear. Like, they were like, "Listen, you say that there shouldn't be any guns or guns are wrong," which I didn't really say, but that was the context they took out. I'm not anti-gun, but they're like, well, how would you say that to my mom who stopped two people that came into our house that were armed because she had a shotgun? Like, those people could have raped us. Those people could have stolen all our property. Like, and I had one after another of personal stories where guns actually saved people's lives in their own home.
Well, see, that's the problem. We're a lot of times in life, and we do that so much nowadays, we don't look at things with nuance anymore.
Not at all.
Everything's an extreme.
I say this every week.
You see somebody get shot at Irving Plaza. You see somebody walk into a movie theater and shoot up all the people in the movie theater, or shoot up a school. Like, oh my God, guns are wrong. No, guns are wrong in the wrong hands.
Poor people.
I'm not even going to say poor people.
It's poor people.
No, it's not just poor people.
It is just poor people.
No, it's not. No, it's
the
not.
only
No, it's not.
problem with
No, it's
guns is poor people. And
No, it's not.
Here's
That's
the
not
thing.
true.
Here's the thing.
Guns are just wrong in the wrong hands, period. If you're an evil person and you possess a gun, you will cause harm to somebody.
Poor people.
Period.
So let me
you can't do that. Don't do that. You're doing it. So you're doing
Can
the
I
same
make
thing
the
with
argument?
No,
You're not even letting me make the argument.
Stop with the generalization.
Maybe you would agree.
That's wrong logic.
Maybe if you would agree.
So you're saying only poor people kill people with guns?
Can you just listen to the argument?
That's ridiculous.
Can you listen to the argument?
You may not make any sense.
You haven't even let me make the argument.
Because it don't make any sense. That's stupid to say.
Why would you? You just said there's nuance to stuff, and now I'm trying to give you the
go ahead.
nuance.
But
and
you
you're
didn't say nuance. You
don't
said
make
poor
the
people.
argument.
Poor people.
Can I make the argument?
Go ahead.
Okay. And I've said this before. The problem with when there is poverty, right? You're going to fight over resources to survive, right? And if there are guns, you're going to use whatever tools you have to fight over resources to survive. So if it's knives, it'll be knives. If it's swords, it'll be swords. If it's guns, it'll be guns. Now, if you take away guns, you don't think people are still going to kill each other in Chicago with other weapons to manage to kind of corral resources? It's not the rich 1% people in Chicago that are killing themselves. It's not the people at that downtown area that's super nice right by the lake that are killing themselves.
You know how many people right here in New York City, just a few years ago, guy from Wall Street, upset over the stocks crashing, walks in the fucking middle of the city with a gun and starts shooting, and the police gunned him down? That just happened like a few years ago. What are you talking about? You mean nobody?
Percentage-wise, like the percentage of those people that end up killing, let me just get the point. the point across. So the point I'm trying to make, those percentage of like these super wealthy people that actually kill people, let me make the point before you.
That's not true.
Can I make the point, Charlamagne? We talk all the time about listening to people, which actively listening.
Okay, I'm gonna do what you did. I'm gonna do what you did. Oh, matter of fact, Schultz is about to talk to Tariq later on, so I want you. I'm gonna do to you what you did to Tariq.
Sure, but
what's the percentage?
Can I just finish?
No, what's the percentage of rich people that kill people with guns?
I would say less than 0.05%.
How can you say it should be an accurate stat?
Less than 0.05%.
Isn't that an accurate stat?
Less than 0.05%.
That's a Schultz
have
stat.
someone look it up. So.
This guy is so crazy.
Can I just make the point? What you're doing is you're afraid of the truth, so you're not even letting me give it.
There is no truth. That's a silly logic,
Charlamagne,
guns kill people.
What I don't understand about you is you talk about how we need to listen to people, hear other sides. You go sit down with Tommy Lahren, and you try to listen or hear her.
And I shut her down when she makes a stupid ass point.
But you let her make the point. Can you just let me make the point?
Go ahead. What's your point?
My point is we could easily have guns if there was no poverty, and people would kill each other way less. Yes, you'd have these random killings, and you'd have some guy who lost a lot of money on Wall Street try to shoot up a bunch of people. Yes, you'd have the random school shooting. Yes, you'd have the random nightclub shooting, whatever it was. You have these random shootings that really
not really random,
are in the grand scheme of how many people are murdered throughout a year, or how many people die throughout a year in car accidents and all these different things, it is a fraction of the percentage of the people die. People die of heart disease, people die of all these things. It is a minute percentage, right? So inconsequential in terms of percentages, right? It's sad that when anybody dies, but it's inconsequential in terms of percentages of people killed. We get rid of poverty, there's no gun problem. I don't think that we're going to get rid of poverty. I don't believe that we're going to be able to do that. So now we have a situation where guns are in the hands of people who are fighting to survive, man. A lot of these people that are killing each other and shit like that, this is survival. But these are not people that are living way above the poverty line. These are not people.
That's part of it, but that's not the whole totality.
Listen, so my point about it is this, right? If we want to keep guns legal, which some people do, we just have to chalk up deaths as part of it. We just got to go, okay, if guns are going to be legal, we just got to accept that every single year, a few thousand people are going to die from gun accidents or on purpose.
I think they do. And we do accept that. They just don't want things like Sandy Hook to happen.
Well, that's going to happen.
They don't want things like, they want to make it harder for certain people to get guns.
They're going to get them regardless.
Better background checks.
They're going to get them regardless.
Better mental health evaluations.
They're going to get them regardless. So those people, because you can get them illegally. And you can get them at a gun show. It's too easy to access.
If you get them illegally, you can't account for that. But what they're trying to account for is the legal purchase of guns, because that's really all they can account for.
Yeah, but the vast majority of these people that are being killed are not being killed from the legal purchase of guns.
What do you mean?
Like these people that are being killed, right? Like we have, the 50 shootings a weekend in Chicago. Those kids aren't buying those guns legally.
Once again, people don't know how to look at things with nuance. We can't just say it's a gun problem because of what's going on in Chicago. If we're going to talk about it being a gun problem, let's talk about all the various times throughout the week that people get killed randomly with guns. It's not just going on in Chicago or in poor areas.
I'm not saying it's not just going on in Chicago. What I'm saying
with poor people, period.
Yeah, the vast majority of it has to do with people.
I don't
and we'll look up a statistic. Again, my point is I would like to solve poverty. I would like to have a situation where we're putting so much money and funds into these communities where they don't have to fight for survival using the tools that we're given to fight for it.
Listen, what you're saying.
That's me personally what I would like. But here's my point. So when it comes to, we have to chalk it up to, you basically, if we want to keep guns legal, we have to accept that people are going to get killed by guns. It's very simple. It's very similar to how fast you can go on the highway, the speed limit, right? I could save 1 million lives tomorrow if I just made the speed limit 30 miles per hour. You could literally save 1 million lives. You know how many people die in car accidents every year? It's unbelievable how many people.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who die going the speed limit too.
If you made the speed limit 30 miles per hour, not all, but so many of those people would live because they weren't going fast enough to, one, hurt the person that they bumped into, hurt themselves, they wouldn't fly through the windshield, all these things. Now, none of us
stat to see how many people actually die because of
none
speed.
of us want to go 30 miles per hour on the highway. We got shit to do. We don't want our commute to be double the time, etc. So we basically have accepted, okay, look, X amount of people are going to die. That's just, it is what it is, and I accept that, and I'm going to keep moving on, and that's fine.
No,
so
people die when they break the law.
No, there are people who just go.
If the speed limit is 55 and you're going 65, 70, you're breaking the law.
I didn't say that they were going. I said that I didn't say they're breaking. I said they were going the speed limit. They're going 65 miles per hour.
So the key to the speed limit is clearly they say 55 is the reasonable amount you can go where possibly if you get into a car accident you won't die.
No, that isn't the truth.
Well, whatever. So it's a speed limit for a reason, show. They made it 55 for a reason.
Yeah, they made it 55 for a reason because cars
so they
can
made it
handle that speed, and we want to go. We want to go that fast because we want to get somewhere.
So if you decide to go 75, 80,
I'm not saying break the law. You're making a different argument.
No, I'm not.
Stay
I'm
at
just saying-
55. Stay at
okay,
55.
So, but if you decide to go over 55,
But we're not talking about that. Just
What are
stay
you
at
talking
55. My point is, by going 55 miles per hour, when you get in a car accident, the likeliness of you, let's say you're on a slick road and you're going 55 and you bang into a tree, you're dead. Let's say you're going
That's not
30.
true.
Charlamagne, just you don't know, and it is
That's
true.
not true.
It is true. They've done studies on this.
The faster you go, the more probability of you dying in a car accident shows. That's common sense.
Yeah, that's my point. You're just making my point. Are you
So
listening?
55 isn't that?
Are you listening to understand, or are you listening to respond?
55 isn't that. 55 isn't that. Not saying that can't happen, but it's usually not that.
Charlamagne.
55. If you hit a tree going 55 miles per hour,
You're dead.
airbag pop. No, if you got your seatbelt on, airbag pops out, you'll probably live.
You're dead. That's if your car is an airbag, and a lot of people don't. I've had friends of mine who have died in car accidents. And listen,
How fast are they going?
speed limit.
Are you
Speed
sure
limit,
of that?
Absolutely, 100%. The car can spin. The car can spin. You've had people has situations. I mean, I saw it on the highway. They said that they were going. There was. They can't calculate exactly how fast they were going, but there was a slick spot or something like that. The car slid on the slick spot, hit the meridian or whatever,
it's called hydroplaning.
Hydroplaning. So
And you
my
know when
point is,
hydroplaning happens?
Yeah.
Usually when you're going too fast.
no, hydroplaning happens when there's a slick spot
Yeah,
on,
and you
on the
go
highway.
too fast through the slick spot.
And my point, which we've been going around because you're not listening to me, is if you were going 30 miles per hour, you wouldn't have the torque necessary to flip the car, whereas if you're going 60 miles per hour, you would. So there's a mathematical equation.
This is a brilliant idiots conversation because we're having the same conversation. You just specifically said if you're going slower,
Everybody that's
if you're
listening,
going
please
slower, the probability
tweet
of you
Charlamagne
dying.
that he doesn't pay attention when I talk.
Did you even hear what you just said?
You just got to pay attention,
Oh,
and
my
then you'll
God.
get it. It's frustrating to me.
So tell me what you're saying. You're saying that if you're going slower, the probability of you dying is less, right?
No shit.
Okay, and if you go faster, the probability of you dying is higher. I said the same thing.
Correct. So my argument the whole time is, which you weren't listening to, is if we bring the speed limit down to, let's say we bring the overall speed limit down to 15 miles per hour. You can't go faster than 15 miles per hour in the whole country. Don't you think more people would stay alive? Less people would die if the speed limit was 15 miles per hour?
If you take away all guns from people, people won't die either.
Thank you for making my argument, Charlamagne. 20 minutes later.
Can we deal with things that can actually happen, though? Can we deal with actual...
Charlamagne, that's my point. My point is we in actuality, we know people don't want to go 15 miles per hour. We know that they're going to want to go 60. So we accept that we're going to have much more death at 60 miles per hour than at 15. We know we could save lives if we made it 15. Same with guns. We know we could save people's lives. Let me make this point. We know we could save people's lives if we got rid of all guns. But we know that people won't accept that. So what we'll do is we'll allow guns, but we have to then accept that people are going to die. So just as they die in cars, they're going to die from gun interactions.
Common sense.
That's the point.
Common sense. It's not that we accept it. We put certain rules in place to keep these things controlled. It's a reason the speed limit is 55. It's a reason they say wear your seatbelt. It's a reason when you go through certain curves on the highway, it says slow down to 15 miles per hour or 30 miles per hour, whatever it is. Same thing with guns. What they're trying to do with guns is put certain rules in place to keep guns out of certain people's hands.
And my point is...
Simple as that.
My point
it's not that we accept it. We're not accepting, we want people to die. We put rules in place to try to control it.
My point is we could put more strict rules that would decrease death even more. So, for example,
that's what they're trying to do with gun laws.
No,
they're trying to put more stricter rules.
Charlamagne, please.
You're not listening.
Charlamagne, please.
It's really basic.
So,
what
for
we're talking about.
example, we're going 60 miles per hour on the subway, right? So, not the subway, on the highway, right? We could have a rule that brings it down to 15. That's going to save lives, that rule.
And that's what they're trying to do with gun law, Schultz.
But my point is we don't do it with cars. Why do we not do it with cars, you think?
Why don't we do it with cars?
Because it's inconvenient to us. I don't want to go 15 miles per hour. I don't want my commute to work to take 4 times the amount of time it takes right now. Even if that saves people's lives. Even if somebody comes to knocks on every one of our doors and goes, hey, you want to save hundreds of thousands of lives? Well, we're going to have to go 15 miles per hour. When I was in college, I did, but I don't know.
I've been driving since I was 14 years old.
Yeah.
I've been in 2 car accidents.
Yeah.
One because I was pissy drunk.
Yeah.
Like a motherfucker, which I shouldn't be doing.
Sure.
And I was driving and I was speeding.
Yeah.
Hit a fucking ditch, flew up in the air in an aluminum caravan doing about 70, 75.
Jesus Christ.
Hit the tree, The van wrapped around the tree.
yeah, you remember
Only
me
reason I
telling me.
didn't die is because I was drunk and because I didn't have a seatbelt on.
Yeah.
So I flew out the back and the impact didn't kill me because I was numb.
Yeah.
Now
you were calm. Yeah, your body was.
yeah, the other time I got into a car accident wasn't even my fault. I was driving, dude ran a stop sign. Boom, minding my business. Right. So I'm saying all that to say, I don't speed. I don't drink and drive except for that one time.
Yeah.
So therefore, I've avoided all car accidents.
That's great.
So I'm saying majority of people on the road, if you do what you're supposed to do, speed limit, don't drink and drive, you're probably gonna be okay. It's called an accident for a reason. Exactly, it's called an accident for a reason. Like some shit just happens.
Some shit just happens.
And guess what? We can't look out for everybody else on the road.
Come on, talk on the mic if you want to talk.
You sure you want to talk about this, Paige? You sure,
So-
Paige? No, you can't bring it up if you don't want to talk about it. Paige killed somebody on the road. Paige is Brandy Norwood.
You killed somebody?
It was an accident.
Wait a minute. Can you get on the mic? and
Yes,
talk about it?
Paige. Now, see, you done opened up a can of worms. And if you cry, don't you cry. You better not cry.
Yeah, this is real.
I'm not gonna cry, but I'm just saying that accidents do happen.
That is true.
I was going the speed limit, as was everybody involved in the accident. Everybody had their seatbelts on. Someone still died. Accidents happen.
Yeah, what happened?
Someone cut in front of me.
So they cut in front of
They
you.
cut me off.
Cut you off.
I swerved
Okay.
to avoid that accident, and I hit somebody else, and somebody else in that car that I hit died.
But you're proving my point. You got into an accident because of somebody else's negligence. They
Right, but
shouldn't have cut you off
they
that
were
way.
going the speed limit.
They still cut you
and
off.
somebody went into his lane, so that's why it became a whole thing.
See?
Because it's
Motherfuckers ain't respecting the road.
So here's what I would say. If you guys were all going 15 miles per hour, you think anybody would have died?
probably not.
Of course they wouldn't have died. And that's something that we have to live with and accept, that by going 60 miles per hour, people are going to die in situations like this, which is nobody's fault.
Right.
But people, and we accept that
It is somebody's fault.
We accept it because
it's a reason the police.
convenient, and we don't want to change our lives, and we don't want to have an inconvenience in our lives. That's my point.
But
now,
it's a
the
reason
things with
police-
a gun, it's a convenience to have a gun in your home and to be able to protect yourself. But if we want that convenience, we have to accept that there are also going to be people that are going to kill themselves.
But once again,
in Chicago,
you have
that is something we have to accept.
But once again, you have to follow all rules.
We have to accept that there's
Well,
going to be
listen,
school
you're not-
shootings.
listen, you
we
have
have to accept that tons of these things are going to happen every single year. And listen, are they going to be as many deaths as people who die from heart disease? Absolutely not. Are there going to be as many deaths as people who die on the road? Absolutely not. But if we have guns, we have to accept that there's going to be deaths
Paige,
that are
you
connected
got into
to
that
them.
accident because somebody didn't follow the rules.
That's not necessarily true.
Listen, time out. That's why police give out tickets for illegal lane changes.
Right, but release-
That's
You're
why
saying
they
that
have
people
those.
only die when people break the rules on the road?
Majority of the time, yes.
No, but you're saying
Yes.
people only die.
I didn't say only. Well, you see, you Fox Newsing me. I said majority of the time.
Okay.
You said only.
Okay.
You see how fast
Can I
fake
have a
news can
statistic?
spread?
Can I have a
said
statistic?
majority. He said only. You're
All right,
saying
so
only.
Give me
I
a
didn't
statistic.
say that.
So give me a statistic.
I don't have one.
Okay, so then I guess
But I
it
didn't give
doesn't
a
mean anything.
statistic. I said.
So prove it's a majority.
It's common sense.
I
Drinking
don't
and
know.
driving, speeding, illegal lane changes.
know.
I guarantee you, it's just common sense. 95% of the time, that's a Charlemagne the God statistic. 95% of the time, it's a problem on the road. It's because somebody did something on the road they weren't supposed to. I guarantee it.
Okay, sure,
Same
but
thing with guns, though.
I
Because
know
if
that.
you follow the rules with guns, if you have a registered gun, if you follow the rules with gun safety, then half of this stuff wouldn't happen.
That's not true, though.
I feel like most, and I'm not saying any statistic, but I feel like most gun violence in America that occurs is from like an unregistered weapon or a weapon that there wasn't a background check performed on because you're not supposed to have it. Then again, I will say there are plenty of rich white people in my town who do some stupid shit with a gun all the time.
Hershey,
They kill
Pennsylvania.
themselves because they fucked up on
But that's not
gambling
plenty.
but
that's
no,
the
there's a
vast
lot,
minority.
though.
Listen, if it was as much as the people that were being killed in Chicago, we would hear about it. But I haven't
I
heard
bet you
about.
suicide by gun is probably the same amount in America each year as people that die in Chicago.
Absolutely.
Probably.
Absolutely.
People kill themselves every single
Absolutely.
day.
I don't know.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, we have to look up these statistics.
Listen,
I'd
man,
like
if
to
it
look up
wasn't no guns, you
statistics.
think about killing yourself, bro. That's the quickest way. Put a gun in your mouth, put a gun to your
Oh,
head.
I don't want to do it painfully, no. But I would like to maybe jump off some high shit and do flips.
Nah, I ain't got time for that. Who want to think about it? Because
That looks like
what if you
fun.
change your mind in mid-dive? Like, I don't want to die.
Yeah, but that'd
I don't
be
wanna-
cool, bro.
Fuck that.
No, dude, that'd be
Fuck
sick.
That's
that.
something we did learn in psychology class. Most people that try to attempt to commit suicide, they end up getting just really, really, really hurt because they stop themselves in the last minute, like when they're about to
so they
fall.
half-ass it.
So they half-ass it and then they don't
fuck.
do it
No, you
properly.
gotta
Same
swan
same
dive.
reason people when they slit their wrists they don't do it correctly
Yeah.
is because they like I mean, there's a way to do it.
You got to cut down the vein. You can't cut across the vein.
But people get
down.
scared and they're like, okay, they're not unsure or they just want attention.
They just don't know about how the body works. They don't know the physiology. I mean, if you got to go down, if you go across, it looks more romantic, right? Because you see it in movies. I've dated a lot of girls that know how to give good head. Usually, those girls have scars on their wrists.
And Paige,
It's true. It is true.
So what stopped you?
Girls who try to kill themselves are great in bed. I don't know if you know this for a fact, but Garrett.
He's on fire today.
No, this is no.
Only poor people kill each other with guns.
I didn't say only. There you Fox Newsing me. You Fox Newsing me right now.
And girls who commit suicide got great pussy.
How many girls have you slept with that tried to kill themselves?
You didn't hear what I said.
The majority. I heard
girls who commit suicide got great
pussy. I heard that. Trust me, I heard that.
Necromaniac. What's the word? Necrophiliac?
No. That's when they're already dead. I want you to not be dead yet. Listen, if you kill, let me ask you a question. If you try to kill yourself, you gonna not gag on a dick?
Jesus Christ.
If you're willing to kill yourself,
okay.
There's nothing I'll do in bed that's gonna freak you out. You're willing to die.
Andrew Schultz, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm just saying.
He's here every week.
I'm wrong though.
He's here every Thursday.
I'm wrong though.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's here every Thursday.
I'm wrong though.
Every Thursday at noon.
I don't know,
Andrew Schultz,
I've never
ladies and
gotten head from a
gentlemen.
girl who tried to kill herself.
But have you ever hooked up with a guy who tried to kill himself?
I feel like that's no. I probably would not know that. One.
Right.
Two. I mean,
that's a turn off, right?
What, a guy who
wanted
to
kill
end
myself
your
last
life?
week.
Listen, ending your life, that's a pussy move. Don't do that.
Okay.
That's unfair to other people around you. It's selfish.
It's selfish.
But I don't think it's pussy. I think it's like the opposite.
I wouldn't call it pussy because I'm too pussy to do it.
Exactly.
I'm not brave enough to do it. You got heart. You did. I was like, hey,
own life
that's not being like about that life. It's just like there's some fucked up shit.
Yeah, it's selfish.
It's
face the world like the rest of us. God damn it.
Yeah.
Everybody has problems, and there's.
I would argue they don't have
it.
to go through what the rest of us has to go through. That's why they're willing to kill themselves.
Everything's circumstantial.
It's hard. You got to put yourself in someone else's shoes, man. Like that's what I did with this gun shit.
No, that's real.
I really it was like I judge guns, and then I had these women that were telling me that guns saved them their lives. And I'm like, how the fuck am I supposed to tell you you're not supposed to have a gun when a gun literally saved your life from a guy trying to rape you?
That's what guns are for.
But so my point is like,
when used properly.
Yes, that's why I say guns in the right hands are a weapon of protection. Guns in the wrong hands are a weapon of fucking mass destruction.
You know what I've realized?
At the same time, if someone's the right hands, like my dad, say my dad owns a gun, right? In Pennsylvania, you own right to a gun. He goes hunting, he has one in the house, he likes the feeling of having one there. Yeah. But say my dad loses his shit one day. Yeah. Who's to say those weren't the right hands? Though that's registered, he was supposed to have it.
Yeah, that's true
but
too.
You can't account for the human error.
There's going to be casualties. There's going to be casualties of war. That's my point. When you're dealing with a weapon of this type of destruction, you have to understand that there are going to be innocent people that die. There's going to be mistakes that happen, and we just have to chalk it up as part of the game. If you want to save real lives on the road, get rid of cars. Get back to horse and carriage. If you really want to save lives, like if we want to save everybody's lives.
Andrew is the most extreme
I'm just saying.
Horse and buggies for everybody.
If you want to get rid of AIDS, just cut your dicks off.
Cut your dicks off.
Just get rid of your dicks. Everybody get rid. You won't never have to worry about AIDS if you get your dick off. Or any STD.
I mean, it is some shit that I was really, and I want to talk to you about it. No, because I realized, and this week changed my whole shit. I saw a movie called Hell or High Water. You guys should check it out. It's a bank robbery movie, but it's got some levels to the shit, and I really wanted to talk to you about it because you had a different experience growing up than me when you grew up in South Carolina. And in New York, when we grew up in the city, we don't really understand this concept of freedom that people in like the country talk about. Like Texas, you hear people talk about, or like Montana, or maybe it's even like that in South Carolina. The ability to they get freaked out when you're trying to restrict their freedom. Like when you try to say you can't have a gun, or when you try to say you can't, build this on this property, or they're trying to say that you don't have the rights to this water, or like they freak out about your restriction of freedom. And in New York, where we grow up, we don't really care about that. We're like, well, just don't have the gun. What's the big deal? And I realize it's because we've never experienced true freedom. In New York, I have tons of rules. I got to ask the mayor if I want to renovate my bathroom. Not the mayor, but I got to ask somebody in the government permission to renovate a bathroom of my apartment that I own.
Yeah, I'm going through that now because I'm
doing renovations.
And I'm getting my basement done.
So, and you got to go through the board, the bureau,
go through the zoning, all that shit like that.
If you got a ranch in Texas, you just build your bathroom. You don't have to worry about what days of the week to do it. So it's like
absolutely.
So I understand why they react so harshly, so strongly to restrictions of freedom, because they actually have freedom in the first place. Me and you, when we're living in New Jersey, we're living in New York, we're used to not having the freedom to do shit. So when you take you take away a Pepsi Cola 2 liters or whatever Bloomberg was willing to do, I was like, all right, whatever. Well, I can't build my own bathroom. I might as well not have a liter of Coke.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like. So now I put myself in their shoes and I go, oh shit, if I had, you know what I mean? If I had,
Damn, who thought New Yorkers been slaves all this time?
yo, for real,
Y'all
we
ain't
can't
even
do
realize
shit.
it. Y'all thought y'all was free. Y'all the slaves.
Yo, but then I also realized we need to be, because when you live on
You
top
gotta
of each
have
other,
rules and regulations, bro.
if your life affects someone else, like if me doing renovation is gonna affect the sleep patterns of the person right below me, I gotta respect them.
You gotta have rules and regulations. Paige, how did you not get a charge?
For the accident?
Yeah, for the vehicular homicide.
It wasn't my fault. It
wasn't your fault.
There was like 8 witnesses, and everyone also stopped at the same time. So I didn't get. I mean,
White
it's
privilege. All those
it's
8
still
witnesses were
being
like, a black guy did it.
But it's still being appealed. But it's like
It's being appealed?
No, like they want this guy to like go to jail for doing it. He's not gone to jail. The guy who.
Oh, he hasn't got arrested.
So the problem is they can't share all the details with me because I'm
The
just
guy-
like I'm just
You're not a part of the
I'm a
case.
pawn in the situation. And
The guy that cut you off.
the guy that cut me off. He right now there were certain circumstances they're saying, which I don't know which all the specifics are because they either choose to include me in it or not.
Right.
But there are certain specifics that he seems to think caused him to pull into my lane.
So somebody cut him. It's a
And
domino effect.
all I was able to say was, "This is what happened to me," and like the damage to my car is consistent.
When you
to
called me and told me, what did I say?
that. What did you say?
I said, "Are you okay?
Yeah.
Do you need a psychiatrist?
He said, "I think you should go to
I think you should go to therapy." I'm a real friend, bro. Let's be clear about that. I'm a real friend.
He is.
I am a real friend. I'm like, you need to go to therapy? Like, I'm a real friend, bro.
Kateris.
You good? I say, you're not going to jail, are you?
Oh my God.
He goes, "Do you need
know, the
anything? Are you
second-
okay?"
I say, you need
You
anything?
should
You
go
want
to
it?
Second
therapy.
he hung up on that person, I guarantee he called Wax and he was like, yo, Paige just killed the motherfucker.
Yeah,
I guarantee.
sure.
I did.
And
Absolutely.
he jokes,
Yeah,
and he still
exactly.
jokes about it, but
He didn't believe me. He didn't believe me, but I'm like, well, I told my wife because it was early in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but the moral of the story is, I'm a real friend.
How long ago?
Okay.
Was
a couple months.
this just happened?
Fresh body.
Is that why you lost weight?
Charlemagne.
No.
That's why she got skinny. Yo, that is why she got
Because I was
skinny,
fat
bro.
before.
No, for real. You lost weight. I hear when you kill somebody, it can help lose. It's like breakups and
Very
killing
tragic
people.
situation. We're sorry about the person who died in this car accident.
Yes.
I'm glad that Paige hasn't broke the fuck up and went crazy, yet.
But
Yet.
do you feel a sense of responsibility about this?
Of course I do. Of course I do. But
It's not your fault.
you can't let it weigh on you because
Not your fault.
accidents happen. That's the big. Accidents do happen, and it's very unfortunate. And my prayers are still with that family. I reached out to them a couple times. I'm like, listen, if there's anything I can do, And I imagine they just don't really want to have, they don't really want to have anything to do with me because it's not,
The realest thing Paige said in this conversation was she said you can't account for human error. And that is the truth to the matter. You can't account for human error.
That's the part of being human. It happens. And it's unfortunate. But.
I strive to live my life on the defense. What I mean by that is I know my game plan. I know what I'm going to do. I know what I'm not going to do. I don't know what everybody else going to do. So I'm always on the defense looking out for everybody else and what they possibly may do. I feel like that's the best way to survive. I think when you're always on the offense, I tell dudes that when we driving. That's funny you say that about driving because like my dude's 6'4", salute to my man 6'4". 6'4" is a speed demon. Wax is a speed demon. They yo, slow down when I'm in the car, bro. Why are you in a rush to die?
And then they get pulled over and they're like, the cops hate black people. It's like, you were going 1,000 miles per hour. What are you talking about? You're in the DeLorean.
Like I'm a defensive driver, bro.
Yeah.
I do the speed limit. I put my signal on. I'm on my business.
So slow.
I drive. I do.
I like it.
Because I don't give a fuck about. I gotta look out for me and everybody else on the road. I
You
can
got
only,
kids,
And
bro.
people
You
you
can't
have in
fuck
the
around.
car with you.
Yeah,
Like, you're
yeah.
responsible for your people in
Absolutely.
your car.
No,
I can
that's
only account for me, bro.
Yeah.
I can't account for everybody else on the road. I can account for me.
Yeah.
If I get into a car accident, it won't be my fault. Period. That's just the truth to the matter. It will not be my fault. It'll be because something crazy happened. Somebody hit me in the back. Somebody sideswiped me. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's not because Charlemagne was driving crazy. You don't never got to worry about that. And the moral of the story is, Tax is my guy, and I stand by Tax because at the end of the day, and when I say Tax is my guy, and I said I support Tax, what I mean is, Tax get a bail, I'm gonna contribute. Tax need money for lawyers, I'm gonna contribute.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's all I can do. That's all I can do for the brother.
Yeah.
At this point. I just think it's corny. I'm not gonna be like Epic Records when Bobby Smurda got caught up and be like,
Who's that?
who's that? Not my problem. Like,
Yeah.
No, Tax is our guy. Tax is part of the Loudspeaker Network.
Absolutely.
We gave Tax Stone a podcast. We've bought in Tax Stone on MTV and various shows. That puts Tax Stone in the Marvel comic book. So now I'm going to act like, nah, fuck him. I don't fuck with him.
Yeah.
No.
So what would be the thing that would make you stop fucking with somebody?
If he was Jerry Sandusky.
He'd have to fuck multiple white people?
They weren't just white people, first of all.
Multiple poor people. Jerry Sandusky only fucked poor people.
He like that poor booty,
Also
bro.
not true.
He like that poor, uncleaned
I
booty.
think that might be kind of true, bro.
It's not.
He was fucking them little poor diesel-ass black kids from the camps, man.
You need to go read all the 32 counts. It's not.
I don't like scaring myself.
He was fucking his own adopted son.
Wait, what?
His own adopted son.
Yo, he bought booty. That is crazy.
And then when he came out about it, they disowned him. The whole family was like, nope.
Wait, the rest of the family said, "Get away from me."
Yeah, the family never heard the screams of the little boy, and like that. And he probably was from some.
Is he so
He probably some country
Why do you have to be
overseas.
so
No,
He
graphic?
probably thought
it's
that's just
important to
normal.
say. Yeah,
You know what I'm
no,
saying?
yeah. He
Right
was
after
like,
dinner, hey,
This
know what
is
you gotta
America.
do.
Yeah, welcome.
Everyone should go watch the documentary Happy Valley. It's on Netflix.
Fuck the documentary. They make a horror movie.
It's very informative.
Are there clips? Like, not of the fucking, obviously. I'm just saying, like, what are you thinking about, Paige? You crazy.
I
want to see him butt fucking this poor immigrant.
Because there's a line, and then this is you
Yeah.
guys. Here's the line.
I want to see him fucking the boy. What are you talking about, Paige?
That's how you said it.
You got your thumb in your mouth? Is there clips? Okay, listen. Today's episode of Brilliant Idiots is brought to you by Blue Apron. Okay, also brought to you by Blue Apron. Food is better when you start from scratch. Fresh, high-quality ingredients taste better and are better for you, so it's important to know where your food comes from. Blue Apron knows that when you cook with incredible ingredients, you make incredible meals, so they set the highest quality standards for their community of artisanal suppliers, family-run farms, fisheries, and ranchers.
I got the Blue Apron.
Okay.
I cooked a nice little meal for my folks. It was the last meal that I made for them while I still lived with them. So that was a nice send-off for me and a nice send-off, I hope, for them. And it was absolutely delicious. Easy to prepare. I mean, I need all the ingredients and everything measured out. I don't understand grams or what how much stuff is. I didn't sell enough drugs to really break down, metric system. But it was a really nice experience with the food. I liked it. I'll be honest. I'm not a cooking guy. I order in all the time, but I could see myself, not an everyday type of thing, but I could see myself doing this a few times a week, save some money, and have some nice, delicious
It's a good way to
meals.
finesse a woman, too.
Oh,
a
dude.
woman think you can cook.
Especially she thinks you could cook. It's
Yes.
already prepared for you.
Yeah.
Everything's done.
Give us some creamy shrimp fettuccine with sauteed green beans and spinach.
Okay.
Sweet chili chicken with Tinkerbell peppers.
Okay.
Green beans and jasmine rice.
What else they got?
Spiced steak and tomato avocado salad with creamy cone cabbage and red onion slaw. Oh, she'll give you some.
Oh, absolutely. You put that red onion slaw? Check out this week's menu and get your first 3 meals free, including free shipping by going to blueapron.com/idiots. That's blueapron.com/idiots. Blue Apron, a better way to cook.
Now, before we get into our conversation with Tariq Nasheed and Andrew Schultz, because that happened last week, the only other thing I think I want to address before that is everybody being upset with Steve Harvey for visiting Donald Trump. First of all, man, salute to the good brother Steve Harvey. There's not too many people that you can name in the entertainment business who do more for the black community on the regular than Steve Harvey. I have participated in Steve Harvey's mentorship programs at his ranch where he takes 200 poor disenfranchised black men, young boys, and he puts their mothers up on one side of the ranch, and they go to classes and stuff. But he teaches these boys etiquette. He teaches these boys, the proper ways to speak. He just teaches them how to be men.
Yep.
Basically, like I've watched him.
Yep. You went
do
to
this.
it.
I went to it.
Yep.
I was there. I've donated money to it. Like he does this all the freaking time. So when he's having a conversation with Donald Trump about urban housing or whatever, Donald Trump wanting to hook him up with Ben Carson. Look, man, I got no choice but to believe Steve Harvey. And this is what I want us as black people to stop doing. Throughout the history of the civil rights struggle, it's been engagers and it's been resistors. It's been those who have chosen to engage with the government. It's been those who have engaged with people who may not have our best interests at heart, but they still engage with them because that's how they feel like they want to bring about change. But then you've had the resistors.
Right.
The resistors were the ones who protest. The resistors are the ones who say, F the government. The resistors are the ones who say, give us our own money so we can go build our own nation. That's what the resistors do. Look, man, you need both. But what we have to stop doing is the resistors have to stop calling the engagers Uncle Toms and coons and whatever else just because you don't agree with them engaging. Like, we have to stop doing that, because as long as we're not on the same page, if the common goal is the betterment of black people, let the engagers do what they do.
So,
let the resistors do what they do. Let's just make sure we're all on the same page. All of this infighting amongst each other, that keeps us from having any real progress.
So here's a metaphor. It's like when we're at war with another country and there's soldiers on the ground. Let's say we go to war with North Korea and there's soldiers on the ground fighting North Korea. And then we send a diplomat to go speak to the diplomat from North Korea. Do those soldiers on the ground call that diplomat a coon?
No, exactly.
They're on the same team.
They're on the same team.
They both
man.
want ultimately
Come on,
similar outcomes, right? They both want a better life, a better opportunity, better equality, right? So I think it would work perfectly if you had that two-headed snake. You have the resistors,
Malcolm and Martin.
But imagine they were together.
That's
right?
what I'm saying. They could have accomplished even more.
I think you should elaborate on this. Resistors. What is it? Resistors and
engagers.
And
That's
engagers.
it.
Yeah.
And guess what?
Yeah.
You need both. They're really the yin and the yang of this thing.
Yeah.
As long as we keep this infighting going, we're never going to have true progress. Now,
it's good cop, bad cop.
It's good cop, bad cop. Now let me be clear. I'm not sure of everybody's intentions that goes to engage with Donald Trump, but I'm saying the ones that have cachet. Jim Brown, Steve Harvey. I can't speak for Kanye and Ray Lewis and all of them. I can't speak for them. But those two, Steve Harvey, Jim Brown, if they went to go speak to Donald Trump, I have no reason to believe that it wasn't anything but for the best interest
It's
of us.
weird. It's like you can't go talk to Donald Trump without, like, you have to punch him in his face afterwards on camera in order for you not to be called a sellout or a coon.
Yeah, and Michael Eric Dyson, we had him on the Breakfast Club. That should be out. It'll be out today. He spoke about that. And he talked about how Donald Trump doesn't want to meet with any real voices in the African American community, members of the Congressional Black Caucus, or John Lewis, or somebody like him. But anyway, he said that I was saying, well, isn't that kind of our fault? Because the people that we make our leaders, the people that we lift up and make our spokespeople, are usually the entertainers and the athletes. So if I'm Donald Trump and I'm trying to get cachet amongst the African American community, Michael Eric Dyson ain't gonna get these retweets like meeting with Steve Harvey.
I think Steve Harvey has way more influence, or Kanye has way more influence than a John Lewis or a Michael Eric Dyson.
Absolutely, but what we need is influence and intellect to combine.
Absolutely.
Like what did I say on this podcast a few weeks ago? If I was to go meet with Donald Trump, I'm bringing the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan with me.
Okay.
I'm bringing somebody who can actually speak for years of the civil rights struggle and years of black people. Michael Eric Dyson said, you don't got to curse Donald Trump out. You don't have to scream at him and yell at him.
Yeah.
You can just go in there and speak on behalf of African Americans.
That's the thing. If you refuse to speak to Donald Trump, you don't care enough about your cause. I really do believe that, because you're talking to the President of the United States of America, or the President-elect of the United States of America, someone who has incredible power to influence your cause, and you're choosing to not speak to him.
I'm not upset at the people who choose not to speak to him.
I am.
Because
what do you hope to accomplish?
I can look at it two ways. I'm not mad at the engagers, and I'm not mad at the resistors either. Now, for me, I know for a fact.
You think Malcolm wouldn't speak to the President of the United States of America and tell him exactly what he wanted? You can resist and talk to somebody.
Yeah, I think Malcolm would.
It's my point is, what are you trying to prove?
I don't know, though, because everybody keeps tweeting that quote about Malcolm and how, the quote. Hey, I got my phone with me. But the quote is basically when Malcolm said that what happens when these government officials get in office, they go grab a token black guy to appease the African American community, which could be true. I mean, listen, it's all politics at the end of the day. It is posturing in politics.
It's just convenient. But, it's convenient argument. I mean, Tariq makes that argument. You'll hear later in the podcast.
But it's two things that you got to remember about that. You don't know what the people are talking about behind closed doors. Mm-hmm. That's number one. I don't know what Steve talked to Donald Trump about. That's number one. So even if they do take pictures in the lobby, that's cool. The only thing I disagreed with Steve is don't be so quick to say Donald Trump's a great man after you've been chastising him for 18 months. Like one meeting, bro.
Yeah.
Like, nah. Like me and Drake didn't even do that. Me and Drake had communication between people and everything before we got to the point where we was sitting backstage talking, popping bottles. You know what I'm saying? It got to be some other things going on before and I'm not, maybe they did have that. I don't know. Maybe Steve and Donald did talk before he went to Trump Tower. I don't know. I just know I wouldn't be so quick to just jump out and be like, he's a great guy. He really wants to make a difference. After we've seen him for 18 months during the presidential campaign be so divisive and be so disgusting. But forget all that. It's bigger than Trump. All I'm saying is let the engagers engage. If the resistors want to resist. But the engagers and the resistors should be on the same page, especially if the common goal is the betterment of black people. Period.
Yeah. And both can lead to that. Both can lead to that betterment. I really do feel sincerely, if you're not willing to meet with the most powerful man in the world about your cause, you don't care about your cause. Swallow your fucking pride. Swallow the criticism that you're going to get. Just like you said, you don't have to say afterward. You don't have to suck his dick afterwards and say he's a great guy. You could literally say in the meeting afterwards, I told him exactly what I wanted for my people. There's a guy named Chris Hodges. He played for the Chicago Bulls. He was in
Craig Hodges,
sorry. And there's an interesting. I saw an interesting thing on him. I think Bleacher Report or somebody did it, but it basically was
Bleacher Report. Bleacher Report is my website. Go ahead.
What Bleach Report is yours? But basically, what happened is, after the Bulls won, they go to meet the president, right? And he showed up in a dashiki, and because he was like, listen, I'm going to meet the highest person in the land. I'm going to dress like royalty, et cetera. And he said, at the time, this was the first George Bush. He said George Bush was very accepting of it. And then after that, he gave George Bush's secretary or press secretary, what it was, the list of demands that he wanted for black people.
Boom.
Now, it hurt his career, apparently. Ultimately, no teams wanted to pick him up afterwards, et cetera. But he had an opportunity to meet the president.
He did what he was supposed to do
took
with it.
advantage of the fucking opportunity. Take advantage. Like, if Donald Trump says to Charlemagne the God, I would like to talk to you because I think it's interesting what you have to say about just culture in general, about people, and I'd like you to educate me on what it is you would like for black people and how we do it.
And I would say to Donald Trump, yes, I will take your meeting, but I want to bring these two people with me. And I would bring somebody like the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I'd bring the young lady who runs the Black Lives Matter movement.
Sure.
I would bring somebody who's a part of a social movement in America to speak to the interests
and what if he
that African Americans want. I don't think I would take the opportunity then.
So then you fucked up.
No,
because what I would do
listen, at the end of the day,
what I would do is, in that situation, if I were you, is I would have a talk with Minister Farrakhan. I say, Mr. Farrakhan, I'm about to have the ear of the most powerful man in the world. I would love for you to tell me some things that you think are truly important to our
That's
agenda.
a good way to handle it, too.
And then I would like to tell
that's
that
a great
to him
way to handle
and
it.
speak to her. My point is, you're the vessel.
I might even do a survey on Twitter and be like, look,
Perfect.
y'all, I'm going to meet with Donald Trump. What do y'all want me to talk to him about?
Exactly. I think why do we assume the worst happens? And I agree with you. I think it was something about he's a great guy or like celebrating this guy afterwards. You don't have to do that.
You don't have to celebrate him.
You don't have to celebrate him all.
No.
You could be like, listen, I appreciate him hearing me out. And he was thoughtful, or at least made me feel like he was thoughtful and actually cared what I had to say. And I really hope that he makes the changes, or at least works towards making the changes that I'm asking for.
And I'm listen, that's where the resistors come into play. This is what the engagers do. If I'm Martin Luther King
Good
Jr.,
cop, bad cop.
if I'm Martin Luther King Jr., I go and engage with this government, and I talk to this government, and this government puts things on paper and says, this is what we're going to do for black people. If that government doesn't stick to that,
resistors
hey,
put their
resistors!
Foot to the fire.
Yo, Malcolm, by any means necessary,
Yo,
go handle this shit.
Yeah.
That's the game.
Yeah.
But we have to stop the infighting between the engagers and the resistors. As long as
check it this way, they're both more powerful that way when they pretend that they're not working together, right? So when the resistors and the engagers have this silent contract that they work together but they don't say anything, then all of a sudden the president can go to Martin, go, hey, can you get Malcolm off my back? What the hell's going on? And Martin can go, ooh, that's Malcolm's thing. I don't know anything about it.
By the way, you don't think it was going down like that?
It might have. I don't know.
No, I'm not saying that they had a silent contract, but I guarantee you that's the way it was going down. When you got the Black Panthers and you got the NOI and Malcolm and these brothers and they out there raising holy hell.
Sure.
Like, man, go bring Martin in here so we can figure out how to calm all of this down. Don't act like Martin wasn't raising hell too.
Of course.
Like, people are always like, oh, Martin was nonviolent. This and that. Martin was raising holy hell.
Absolutely.
He may have been getting dogs sicked on him in hoses, but that shit take energy to put a dog on a motherfucker.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. And you can't deny the change that happened. All I'm saying is I think that you make a great point with this resistors and engagers. The idea of them working together and the idea of them actually talking and not tearing each other apart. Because imagine if you're fighting not only the government, but you're also fighting the group that kind of wants the same thing as you, but in a different way. Now you're depleted.
Absolutely.
You got half your resources going to this group, half your resources go towards the government. Why not have 100% of your energy going towards the government?
I can't wait till y'all hear this. Go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, to be a devil's advocate a bit. I think
White devil's advocate.
Yeah, white devil's advocate, or myself advocate, I guess you could say. But the thing is, I think the argument is that why is Trump meeting? I mean, nothing. I'm sure Steve Harvey does run camps like that, and that's great. I'm sure maybe even someone like Kanye.
But why is he meeting with entertainers? And
why? So that suggests that he's not really interested in affecting any sort of change. What it suggests is he's trying to create coverage for himself. He's using these people, and they're allowing themselves to be used.
I think that, and I know you're playing devil's advocate, but what I would say is this:
Michael Eric Dyson said the same thing.
Sure, but I think that's the convenient logic that satisfies Michael Eric Dyson's lack of an invitation. But the reality is nobody cares. When I mean nobody, I mean the general public doesn't care about Michael Eric Dyson. When you say Michael Eric Dyson, they're thinking, oh, is that the guy who does the science stuff? No, that's Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Well, listen to what you just said.
But my point is,
why should Donald Trump care what the general public thinks if he's really trying to get a better relationship with the African American community?
So check it. So I think what we have to think about what Donald Trump is. What is Donald Trump? Donald Trump is
a celebrity,
and he sees the power of celebrity. Right? He saw in this last election people stop giving a fuck about these intellectuals and these politicians and start giving a fuck about celebrity. So why, if he knows his power and what he was able to do with his celebrity, why wouldn't he go to Steve Harvey? Why wouldn't he go to Kanye? Why wouldn't he go to all these people? Why would they actually
just made
have
a light bulb
influence?
go off for me, and I don't know why I just thought about this. Why are we mad at a celebrity for meeting with other celebrities?
Thank you.
Where even though he's president-elect, he's still Donald fucking Trump.
They're both
celebrity.
reality
because they didn't do what you said you would do, which is say, okay, Mr. President, I'll take this meeting, but I'm bringing, because I know I'm just a celebrity, but I'm going to bring this academic or this person with 50 years
Steve
of public
Harvey does not
policy
consider
experience.
himself just a celebrity. He considers himself someone who is on the front lines battling for not only rights, but also like improvement of black people's lives. Like that school that Charlemagne goes to, he is directly affecting.
Okay, but then he has to humble himself a little bit and say, I know I am doing something in my own world, but this is a bigger platform. I have to bring somebody with
Why? What makes anybody else more effective than him?
Steve Harvey can talk to Donald Trump, Chris. It's not like Steve's talking to Barack Obama.
Why are we belittling Steve?
No, I'm saying Steve is a very smart dude, but I'm saying he's talking to Donald Trump.
What is Michael Eric Dyson doing for black people that Steve Harvey isn't?
Donald knows just as much about policy as Steve Harvey does.
I mean, this is true.
Like, that's the truth of the matter. Donald knows just as much about policy as Kanye West does.
They know what the influence are. I think it's convenient logic for us to just sit here and go, oh, listen, the reason he's doing this is because he doesn't want to take the real people who are making change in here, and he just wants tokens. Yeah, that's convenient logic. I think what Donald Trump realizes, what a lot of people don't realize, is Americans, we care more about what celebrities have to say than experts. Unfortunately, we do. Unfortunately, Charlemagne the God's opinion means more than Michael Eric Dyson's opinion. It just does.
But guess
more
what?
people care about it.
I would tell all you kids, even if that's the case, Michael's the one you should be listening to. And that's why I use my platform to let people like Michael Eric Dyson come on. That's why I promote his book. His new book is out right now. It's called Tears... It's
called Black Privilege. April 18th. You can get it at Amazon. You can get it at Barnes & Noble. You can get it all that shit.
Popping, though. Hold on. Let me tell you the title of this book before we get into Tariq.
Tears We Cannot Stop.
In the meantime,
we cannot stop a sermon to white America. That's what it is. Tears We Cannot Stop a Sermon to White America by Michael Eric Dyson.
Sure.
So
great.
Great.
The point is, he doesn't have the same effect that you do, and it's unfortunate. But a lot of these people don't, and I think that Trump understands that. And
he does have an effect though, because he was a
same. I said same.
Yeah, but he was a professor at Princeton. So I mean, the number of lives that Michael Eric Dyson probably affected and affected that actually went on to make change in the world, I know I probably pale in comparison to.
I don't know about that.
Maybe.
I mean, he's making he's affecting lives that are already going pretty damn well. You're at Princeton. He's affecting the lives.
Keep going, though.
He's affecting the lives of the top 0.0001% of human beings in the world.
That's good.
If you're already at Princeton, you're good.
Maybe.
You're good.
Maybe.
If you're a troubled youth that is going to a camp that Steve Harvey is promoting, and he's teaching not only you, but you and your mom valuable life lessons that could directly affect your life, that's change.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
If you've got enough good things going on in your life, you've got enough intelligence, you've got high enough SAT scores, you've got enough people backing you that you make it into Princeton, you don't need Michael Eric Dyson.
No, don't say that.
His books might help people, but that class he's teaching.
Too, but I'm going to tell you why the class helps too, because at those camps, we get those kids on the right track don't want to go to those schools of higher learning.
So exactly. So Steve is affecting people's lives.
Yeah, but Michael Eric Dyson has to take them. And take them, keep them going too. Like you need mentors at every stage of your life.
I'm
like
not
you're
saying
never
you
too
don't.
old for
What I'm
mentors.
saying is the role. What he's doing, he already has the best of the best. If you're teaching at Princeton, Harvard, these schools, you have the best of America and the world at your hands. It's pretty easy to go to give them some information and have them be successful. If you're teaching at a community college and you take some kid who's barely able to get into that and you turn him into a CEO or you turn him into a community organizer or a politician, you've made fucking change.
Well, I can honestly say Michael Eric Dyson is one of the people who has definitely helped shape me as a young man. Because I was reading Michael Eric Dyson stuff before I even met Michael Eric Dyson. Like one of the best books you can read right now is April 4th, 1964.
Yeah.
That's the year. That's the day Martin died, right? Or the April 3rd, 1964. No, it was 64. What was it, Chris?
April 4th, 1968.
68.
68?
Yeah, 68 was a big year.
That's the book too.
Yeah, okay, and How It Changed America. It's called April 4th, 1968 and How It Changed America, right?
Sure. Martin Luther King Jr.'s death and How It Changed America.
Yes, that's a great book to read. I mean, Michael Eric Dyson is just brilliant. But the moral
I'm not
of the
trying
story
to knock Michael Eric Dyson. I'm not trying, and I think everybody should read him, and I think it's incredibly important to get that information. What I am also trying to say is you have incredible influence and incredible value, just like Steve Harvey has incredible influence and incredible value.
Listen, I love Steve. That's why I couldn't believe.
It'd be wrong to not utilize them.
I could not believe people were going in on Steve Harvey the way they was going on Steve Harvey. Like, I mean, but then it didn't surprise me, man, because I'm telling you, man, in light of history, Malcolm X used to call Martin Luther King Jr. and Uncle Tom. And I'm not comparing Steve Harvey to Martin Luther King Jr. I was actually reading this whole article about the people they called Uncle Toms. They called Martin Luther King Jr. and Uncle Tom. They called Jackie Robinson and Uncle Tom. Jackie Robinson actually died bitter at black people. He did. He died bitter that his own black people. Am I lying, Chris?
No, it's true.
Yeah.
Give him a little more insight. You're smarter than me.
About Jackie Robinson
Yes.
or Martin Luther King?
Jackie Robinson.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think he was seen as pandering to the establishment. And, you know, he was also one of the first early pitchmen. Like, he was a pitchman for Chock full of Nuts, which was like a big coffee chain in New York City. So there was a lot of resentment. I actually
called him Uncle Tom because he had endorsement deals. And because he played in the major leagues.
And I think he didn't stand up.
What do? We shit on people doing better than us. We can't help.
There was also a shift in 68. I mean, you talked about 68 being a big year. I think that was the year of the Olympics when they protested the Olympics and they gave the Black Power salute.
Yes.
And there was also, I think Kennedy got killed.
And there was a lot of pressure. And I think the OJ documentary did a good job talking about this if you guys haven't watched that. There was a lot of pressure shifted for black athletes in particular to really speak out and boycott the Olympics and, you know, Bill Russell and guys like that. And I think the first generation, like Jackie Robinson, who thought they had blazed that trail, now they were on the outside looking in and they felt, you know, they were being called Uncle Toms or they were cells. And you know, I think probably in Jackie Robinson's mind, it's like, yo, you have no idea what I went through.
Respect the trail that Jackie Robinson blazed for Dominicans everywhere. Okay, to be able to play in the goddamn Major League Baseball. They called Rosa Parks and Uncle Tom, bro.
No.
Yes.
Why?
I don't even remember.
Shit, if it was me, I would have driven the bus.
Like I was literally reading about this.
On the bus.
I want y'all to Google.
Knock out that white bus driver.
I want y'all to Google
Drive that shit.
Prominent black people that they called Uncle Toms, and it blew my mind because majority of the people that y'all called Uncle Toms are the ones that actually got change done. Like,
people will call anybody anything, dude.
Like, it's the weirdest thing in the world to me. But you want to say something, Chris?
No, I mean, I think what you said is accurate with the resistance.
I love this engagement
man.
resistance, but work together. If you want the same goal, if you have the same goal in mind, try to find a way to work together. You might have different ways of getting there, but if you have the same goal in mind, it doesn't take away from your goal.
It doesn't.
If somebody is getting there in a different way or using a different GPS,
we can all have different game plans as long as we both want to score the goddamn touchdown.
That's it.
We're all on the same team.
Some of us are passing, some of us are running the ball. It doesn't matter. Let's go. Let's get in the end zone.
That's it. So, listen, man, we're going to do this bevel mid-roll, and when we come back, we will play our conversation that Andrew Schultz had with Tariq Nasheed.
And you were here for it as well. I
came in a little later on. Yeah, I came in later on, so I don't know how it starts. I'm gonna be interested to hear how this starts.
Can you set that up? Just explain to people. So basically, you were doing something now, and literally, it's just you two.
So Chris, you know they can hear you, right, Chris?
I want you to set it up.
So basically,
He's like,
Tariq had.
I was in the other room with Gary Vaynerchuk.
He was in the other room with Gary V.
And Andrew and Tariq was over here, and Tariq had to be somewhere. So we hit record, and Andrew and Tariq started.
I thought he meant like the backstory. So basically, how this happened is, I don't know if we were talking about how Tariq lost.
Andrew called Tariq a fuckboy. Tariq called Andrew a fuck ass cracker.
Yeah,
and you know. and went from there.
No. So Tariq was on Fox News on Tucker Carlson, and we thought that Tariq lost that debate that he had with Tucker. He ended up calling me a suspected white supremacist and you a coon.
A suspected coon.
Or a suspected coon, whatever it is. A suspected coon minion. I don't know, whatever his terms are. But he was gracious enough to come in. We had a great conversation. I really enjoyed talking to him. And, obviously it got heated and we had some nice exchanges, but I really enjoyed it. I had a great combo with him. It was what we always we always say here. Let's have a conversation.
Engagement.
Yeah, listen to each other and try to get somewhere.
That's it.
So give it a listen. Thank you very much.
And this week's episode of Brilliant Idiots is brought to you by Bevel. You deserve to look good, and you'll feel even better once you decide to bring Bevel into your life. Up to 80% of black men and women experience razor bumps, and up to 30% of all men and women experience razor bumps. Bevel is dermatologist approved and proven to prevent and reduce razor bumps. There's no other shaving system that's going to give you the relief that a Bevel razor will. Your first kit comes with everything you need to get started: a Bevel razor and brush, as well as priming oil, shave cream, a restoring balm, and as many blades as you'll need to keep yourself right until the next kit arrives. Everybody's hair and skin is different and requires different methods of care, but Bevel has a system that works for almost everybody. Learn why 9 out of 10 customers keep coming back to Bevel by going to getbevel.com/idiots, and you get that first month for free. That's GETBEVEL.com/idiots. Start shaving smarter today with Bevel. Tristan, send Tax Stone a razor in jail. Okay, send him a nice Bevel blade. Hey, and before we get into our conversation with Andrew Schultz and Tariq, I also want to remind you to go to BrilliantIdiotsMerch.com. Order you a nice hoodie, order you some socks, order you a nice T-shirt. BrilliantIdiotsMerch.com. Thank you for your support, and please also go to Amazon or Barnes and Nobles, or go to See the Book, CTHABOOK.com, and pre-order my upcoming book, Black Privilege Opportunity Comes to Those Who Create It. Wherever you buy your books online, go pre-order for your boy now, okay? All right, now let's get to the conversation with Tariq Nasheed. Salute to Tariq Nasheed. Good brother right there.
Okay. What's up? It's Andrew Schultz. I am here right now with Tariq Nasheed.
What's going on, Schultz?
How you doing? It's suspected white supremacist Andrew Schultz here with Tariq Nasheed. We're waiting on Charlamagne. Charlamagne's in the other room finishing up, but we're going to get started because we only have Tariq here for a short amount of time. We only have Tariq here for like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Man, it's my pleasure.
I listened to you on Tax yesterday.
Yeah.
You are talented.
Thank you, my brother.
I don't say that about anybody. I don't know if you listen to this podcast, but I'm very, seldomly bestowed that compliment on people. You have a gift.
Thank you.
You're a great communicator. Very, very good communicator. And I'm listening to this episode, and really funny episode. Everybody should go check it out.
Yeah.
And I found myself agreeing with you on many points and actually doing some research to like check certain things out.
Anything you disagree with?
I mean, certain things that not necessarily. Yes, there's definitely things I disagreed with, but it was more like principle disagreements. There's certain things I want to start out with just that I agree with you, like the Susan B. Anthony thing. I thought was very interesting. I wasn't familiar, and you brought up this idea that Susan B. Anthony is lauded as this amazing feminist,
right,
when in reality she was also racist.
Very racist.
Very racist. I mean, we have to judge things contextually, right? So for the time, maybe she wasn't as racist as people who were like beating the shit out of slaves and stuff like that, but she was racist in terms of she didn't want to put black men's ability to vote in front of women's ability to vote for the 15th Amendment.
And her argument was because black people were inferior.
She said she could live in a society where they were inferior. She could live in a society where the Saxon ruled over the African. She could live in a society where the rich ruled over the poor. She could live in a society where the educated ruled over the uneducated, but she couldn't live in a society where men ruled over women. And regardless, still racist.
But
can't deny it. I mean, there were several things I was listening to that I definitely agreed on, and there are other things that I disagreed on. And it was I'm listening and I'm like, I'm going, okay, I wonder, and I mean this when I say you are a gifted fucking communicator, and I wonder if you suffer from a lack of competition. I wonder if, you know how like Jordan needed the Pistons to reach peak Jordan, and like Magic and Bird needed each other, and all greats need somebody to push them to expose their greatness. And I wonder if you're so good at making arguments seem completely understandable, completely believable, that the person that you're arguing with isn't challenging you enough. And I felt like, and I remember thinking in certain ways, like when you were talking about white supremacy, I was like, how do I explain it? Are you blinded by white supremacy in terms? Like where you're missing maybe the actual root cause of an issue?
Well, blinded. That's interesting. Blinded by white supremacy.
Meaning like you're so committed to proving white supremacy, which we can absolutely acknowledge.
Right.
In certain instances, the indicator is the root cause.
In certain.
Okay. But I think in other ones it might not be.
Okay. Now let's define what white supremacy is.
Yeah, that's important.
That's very important.
What is white supremacy?
White supremacy
to you, or how do you see it?
Right. Well, just the basic definition to the people who implemented the system of white supremacy. It's groups of people classified as white who dominate, control, and mistreat groups of people classified as non-white.
Gotcha.
Right. So that's the working definition. That's always pretty much been the definition of what white supremacy is. It's a group phenomenon.
Right.
And what happens a lot of times, people put black folks in token positions and say, hey, there's a black guy right there, so there's no white supremacy. Right. There's two black kids going to that school, so it's not segregated. No white supremacy. It's integrated because there's two black people right there.
When would that school become integrated?
See, I don't even use the word integration.
Or what word you would like to use?
We have white supremacy or we don't. And the
when
thing
would
is,
it not be at 12% when the population?
You can't quantify white supremacy by little intangible numbers. Because,
no, I picked 12% because black people are 12% of the American population. So if it reflected the American population of blacks, would that be considered, we don't have to use integrated, but not white supremacy?
Well, see, the problem was not black people being in a certain capacity. That wasn't the issue. Because black people, we've always lived around white people. On slavery, we lived right in the homes of white people, right in the back of them. So was that integration? You see, integration is a trick word. It's white supremacy.
No, I'm saying, you said if there's one or two, it's a token. So I'm going, what percent of representation does it become not a token, but in fact the exact representation that it should reflect of the population?
When there's equal treatment and equal resources for the group. You got it?
But if there's only 12% black people, should there be 50% of the... Should there be 70% of the resources going to 12% of the black people because there's 70% white people? You see how it's confusing? Like, shouldn't your resources be dictated by the percentage of your population? If there's 2% Indians in America, they shouldn't get 50% of the education budget.
Well,
they should get 2% of the education budget.
You can have a white school on one side of town and a black school on one side of town. The white school is getting all the resources, all the money, and all the funding, and the black school, that's 100% black, is getting almost 75% less than that. So that's not integration or segregation. That's just white supremacy.
But is that white supremacy, or is that how we divide up education dollars based on taxes?
Okay.
Taxation.
Let's look at the taxation.
Right.
So it's not about race, it's about taxation.
I'm saying is that, like, here's an example where we could be blind and we could make something a race issue when it's actually a taxation issue. If we take a wealthy black neighborhood or a wealthy black area in America that has a very high tax bracket, I bet that public school in that area would have all the spoils of a wealthy white school strictly because it's based on a tax bracket, not because it's based on the race.
So why are there not more wealthy black neighborhoods with the same tax bracket as white neighborhoods?
So, I mean, clearly there's more wealth. Actually, I can't even say that if there's more wealth. I mean, on a whole, there's more poor white people in America just because there's more white people.
Right.
But percentage-wise, there's more wealth in the white community than there is in the black community. And that is because, obviously, if we're going to talk about just the people who have been here in America, a legacy of slavery.
So white supremacy, we're going right back to white supremacy again.
But we also have to look at recent immigrants that have come in from Africa and the West Indies in America who haven't sustained the same legacy of slavery and had incredible success in America. I mean, Nigerians out earn and out succeed white males in America, Asian males in America.
Even education-wise, they outperform.
And not only education. I mean, we're talking about wealth.
Yeah.
Like the amount of money that they're bringing in average household. Housing sees everybody. So is that a function of white supremacy that they're doing so well here? How
because they're allowed to. Other people are allowed by the white supremacists to prosper over black Americans here because
Where are
thing
these
is,
meetings I'm missing?
Oh, see, that's the thing. There's meetings all over. There's all over. And y'all won't tell us.
I gotta go.
This is why we have to suspect
I
certain
want
people.
some of that Nigerian money.
Yes, that's why we have to suspect certain people of being white supremacists. These meetings are all over. Y'all not telling us. So,
Who's y'all? I'm not being told.
you're not telling.
I need to get CC on the email.
You know somebody who knows what a meeting is.
I don't know. I just know these Nigerians are rich. I keep going to Nigerian doctors and dentists.
But
I'm trying to get some
allowed.
money.
That's the thing. They're allowed. They're
Now,
allowed.
why would a white supremacist allow a black Nigerian to receive such wealth and privilege?
Because they can take that wealth and privilege right away if they want to.
How?
Anytime. They can deport them. They can send them back over to Nigeria.
For what?
Back
You
to
can't
their
deport
village.
anybody
oh,
for
the
nothing.
hell you can't.
You absolutely
if
can.
you're a
I've
black
heard Dr.
person,
Umar make this joke.
If you're a black, if you're from another country, now we're talking about immigrants here. They can find a reason to deport you. They can say,
my mom's an immigrant.
From where?
From Scotland.
Okay, well, she's white. That's different.
So
but
you're
a black
saying you
person
can only deport black immigrants.
No, I didn't say that. Not coming. No. I didn't say that. But
okay, but
with
where in the
black
legislation
people,
does it say that
black,
you can deport them?
With black people, well, they're doing that now with Syrians. All they have to do is say you're a terrorist. You're connected to ISIS. They can make up anything. You're connected with Boko Haram. They could make that up, and you have no proof. You have Ebola from Nigeria, so you're going to have to go back
because they're connected to Boko Haram. And for people who aren't familiar with Boko Haram is a terrorist organization with links to ISIS that is operating in Nigeria right now, and it's displaced thousands of people. Really scary shit. But who have they sent back because of Boko Haram? As far as my understanding, they've sent back nobody.
Ebola. With the Ebola thing,
Ebola isn't Boko Haram.
But the thing is, I'm giving you an example.
And they've never sent anybody back because of Ebola.
They won't let people over. They'll say, "Well, he can't come over here."
Let people over is different than sent back, Tariq. We have
but I'm
to
just
make
giving you an
example
of what they can do. They can do anything.
This is why you're good.
I'm giving you an example.
Won't question you on your shit when they question you on your
I'm giving you an example of what they can do. I'm giving you an example of what they can do.
But you're not. You're not giving me an example of something that's actually happened. Because I've heard Umar make this statement, and they can't kick someone back who is a citizen and they can't kick someone back who was born here. So Nigerians come here, their kids are born here, and they have this incredible success in America.
But they're allowed to.
But
they're allowed by the white supremacists.
By the white supremacists, right? So,
and also when the before the Nigerians,
seems very weird.
Before the
other white
Nigerians,
supremacists would probably look at that, and be like, "Guys, you're this white supremacy isn't really up to par. I've seen better."
No. They don't mind that. They don't mind letting one or two black people prosper. A very small group. Hell, in Nazi Germany,
black people are a small group. There's only 12%
in Nazi
black
Germany,
people.
there were rich Jews who got put in the oven. Like Abraham Tuchinski, he was a rich Jewish businessman. He went right in that oven.
All the Jews went in the oven.
Exactly.
That was the thing about it.
Exactly.
So
all of us are treated the same. So certain black people are allowed to have a certain amount of money. Some are allowed to not.
If all black people are treated the same, why are you saying in the next sentence that certain black people are allowed to be pulled into the white supremacy umbrella?
Because they can be controlled. They can be controlled, and their little wealth that they get should not or will not be allowed to affect the masses of black people. That's the thing. They don't mind one or two token black people having certain positions. We'll even let you make $500 million like Bill Cosby, but we can destroy Bill Cosby anytime we want by bringing out these poor white women who said that he touched their breast.
Well, I mean,
that's a perfect example.
It wasn't only white women, and
no. The couple of token black women sprinkled in there didn't even count. That's how they hide their racism, by putting token black women in there.
I've seen you make this argument as well, that, which I think is an argument of convenience. This is what I'm talking about, where you need more competition, because I think it's just a convenient argument where you get into this thing like, okay, if you disagree with me, then you're a token black dude. You're a coon if you disagree with me.
These are facts.
But they're not facts. You can't prove tokenism of somebody.
You can.
How?
You can prove that black people, name black people in certain positions, and there are two rules for black people who are put in positions by people in the dominant society. There's two rules.
Right.
Rule number one, you cannot help black people collectively.
Yeah.
Rule number two, you cannot punish white people. Name black people in these positions who have done one of those two.
Okay, so I remember you made this point on tax when you were talking about Marilyn Mosby.
Yes.
And you said that, and this is another one where I think you're blinded by race.
Just name them, brother.
But Marilyn Mosby is the mayor of, is the
prosecutor,
district attorney in Baltimore for the Freddie Gray case.
So you can't name Schultz, right?
We're going to go off of Marilyn Mosby, right?
Okay.
So you said that Marilyn Mosby tried to punish white cops, and they got her out of there.
They're getting her out of there right now.
Or they're getting her out of there right now. Right. Now, let's just talk about Baltimore for a second. This is a majority black city. There's a black mayor, black police chief, minority police force is majority minority police force, black district attorney.
That's not answering the question.
Majority black city council. Black attorney general, black president. Who is they that's getting her out of there? I mean, I can tell you who's getting her out of there. Stephanie Rawlings Blake is getting her out of there because her career is potentially ruined by this Freddie Gray situation. So what you had to, and Stephanie Rawlings Blake is the mayor, the black mayor of Baltimore.
Right, they
the
getting
black
her up out of
mayor
there
of Baltimore
too.
threw under the bus for her own career.
But why did she throw under the bus? Because Stephanie's about to get her career is about to be thrown under the bus by who? The white supremacists.
What white supremacists?
No, the ones who run the police unions there. This the police unions.
The police are minority black. They run their own unions.
Don't.
Absolutely.
The police out there in Baltimore don't run
listen, Tariq.
Man, the police union. Are you telling me the police unions in Baltimore are run by black people?
Sure.
That's not true.
Absolutely. They represent minority.
That's
absolutely.
not true.
So here's the thing, Tariq.
That's not true.
Tariq, this is why Baltimore is such a bad example. I'm telling you,
that's not true.
You can make better examples for this, but for this argument you're making, it's the worst example because this is a black city.
But
this is a black city that is controlled by white tax dollars. People.
It's not controlled by black people.
It absolutely is.
Then why are black people
majority
allowed to be
black
killed
city
out there
council,
and nothing happens?
9 out of the 15 people.
If black people controlled it, why can white cops go into black neighborhoods and kill black people?
Are they going into neighborhoods and killing black people? Is that something that's happening, or that's something that happened?
Why can they go into a black neighborhood and kill a black person and nothing happens to them?
Can white people do that, or can cops do that?
No, white people. White police officers can do that. Black people, you cannot.
And here's the question.
Black people cannot kill unarmed white people.
So here's the question I ask you.
So let me finish.
Here's the question I ask you.
Okay, let me finish. Black people, even a cop, you cannot kill unarmed white people and not get punished. If it happens, it's so extremely rare, it's ridiculous. I can think about 1 or 2
Actually,
cases
it happens at a higher percentage than it does to black people.
No,
you should check out 2 studies. The Washington Post did a study, and I think Johns Hopkins University did a study where white people are 18% more likely to get killed than black people by police.
You changed the argument. I said black cops killing whites. Now I can deal with what you're saying too.
Black cops ain't killing whites.
Black cops are not killing unarmed white people, Schultz.
Matter of fact, well, cops in general.
We're talking about
Let's stay on this issue.
But also, let me deal with what you just said.
Real quick, and then we'll get back to that. I promise you.
Right.
I promise we'll get back to that. But real quick with this issue. So we have a situation where I think you're blinded by the race issue, right? And I think that there is cop privilege in that. A cop.
If you are white.
No, I think if you're black, white doesn't matter.
Then name black cops who are killing unarmed white people. Name them.
Name black cops.
I can name Contalio, Darren Wilson. I can name the cops who killed Freddie Gray. I can name a whole bunch of them.
There was a black cop at a university in, I think, Texas that shot a white kid because he thought he was on drugs.
The naked white guy. Yeah, people always point to the naked. That's the only one that I can think of. And there was a white guy who was flipping out on drugs and he shot him.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So that's one. You said to name one.
Okay, but I mentioned that earlier. So you're going to have.
No, you never mentioned that.
I did. I said there's about 1 or 2.
Well, you just said name one. You said name one. I named one.
Well, he's a white
and I'm sure if I just Google cops that have killed whatever. But you have
there's
to
always going to be a white sacrifice. But when it's systematic,
again, here goes back to your argument, which is
when it's systematic. When it's systematic,
you're a coon if you disagree with me, and there's a white sacrifice.
But having a white sacrifice doesn't negate the fact that it is systematic.
You can make better arguments. This is what I'm saying. You're a smart dude. You're a great communicator, and you communicate in digestible. I'm listening to this tax interview. Very digestible.
You are a white supremacy denier.
No, I've already acknowledged that white supremacy exists. What I think that you do is I think that you conflate certain situations with white supremacy, which aren't. And I think what's dangerous about that is, let me finish, what's dangerous about that is we actually don't get to the solution that we want because we're blinded by this white supremacy idea, or we're blinded by race baiting, and we miss the actual issue here at hand, which is not white supremacy. In this situation, it is maybe a cop privilege where a cop can get away with certain things, regardless of race, that a white person or a black person cannot get away with.
Now, name any area of activity that is not dominated by systematic white supremacy.
What do you mean?
Any area of activity between people. There's about 9 areas: labor, law, education, religion, sex, war, entertainment, religion. Okay,
Yeah.
so religion is not dominated by white supremacy.
No.
It is. It's completely dominated
How
by
so?
white supremacy because, number one, we're taught to relish and worship white gods. When you go to a black church, there should not even be a black church. The reason why there's a black church is because there's a white church, and there's a white church because of white supremacy.
So here's-
all of you're supposed to be Christians.
Yeah.
There should not be any segregation in a church.
Right.
The white supremacists determine that. So white supremacy dominates all that.
So here's a perfect example of where I think that you again are clouded by your view of white supremacy. You want to prove white supremacy so bad, you're just ignoring thousands of years of history. For example, idols in religion always reflect what the people look like who they're trying to attract to the religion. So when Christianity was invented 2,000 years ago, and it was spread across Europe, which is white, they created a Jesus that was reflective of the population. Very similar to Buddha. Buddha, if you look at the Indian Buddha, is this fat, obese Buddha. Now,
But Jesus isn't from Europe.
as Buddhism,
But Jesus isn't from Europe. How you?
can you listen?
I'm listening.
As
How you-
Buddhism
you're not from
traveled
Europe, you're
from
right.
India
Right.
to Asia, what happened to Buddha? Buddha became this slender, tight, slanted-eyed Buddha. So we go from fat Indian Buddha to slanted-eyed Asian Buddha because why? People want something that looks just like them. That's why you see black Jesus in certain churches.
But you,
this
for the most
concept
part,
of
you see
black
the white Jesus.
This black
For the
Jesus,
most part,
this
look.
black concept of black Jesus came about because in certain parts of the world, in order to attract them to Jesus, they created a black idol. So you're looking at this like literally 2,000 years ago when in Rome or wherever the fuck they are, they're not even considering black people. Like, you know what? In 1,600 years, we want to preserve the white supremacy legacy. So when the transatlantic slave trade happens, let's make sure that white God, Jesus, looks white so that we can disenfranchise and marginalize these black people that we tell to be Christian. It had
Right.
nothing to do with it. They're 1,600 years apart. These people aren't thinking about it at all. They're thinking, how do I get that white guy right there who's a pagan to believe in Christianity?
But sir, they've been
make this guy kind of look like him?
They practice
Done. Boom.
Christianity in Ethiopia for thousands of years. They have like one of the oldest symbols of Christianity in Ethiopia and Africa. So
And
African
if you follow
people-
the art, and I guarantee if you follow the art,
So
like you
now-
follow with any religion, if
so
you
now,
follow
Schultz,
the art,
now when you go
then
to
you'll see
when
the
you
similarities.
go to all the places where there are dark people, they've been programmed and beaten into submission to worship Christianity. I've been all over the world. You go to Samoa, there's a Christian, white Christian church all over the place.
Sure.
Even in Africa, they're worshiping white Jesus all over the
Yeah,
place.
worshiping Islam all over the place as well.
Right.
What's your point?
Well, the thing is, Islam is dominated by the white supremacists because now they can.
Islam
is dominated. It's dominated.
Islam is dominated by
yeah,
the white
but you're
supremacists.
dominated. Yeah, because
So there's 2 billion tokens.
Yeah, no, they're
This is
not
2
tokens,
billion
no, but
token
they're dominated by the white supremacists
Islam.
because they can blow up any Muslim anytime they want to. The white supremacists can say, okay, that's a terrorist. I'm burning and blowing up your whole country. So they're dominated by the white supremacy. Muslim
Make
is
that
a
point.
code.
Make that point again.
I'm saying that the so-called Muslims, any Muslim on this planet, the white supremacist dominates them, especially over in the Middle East. The white supremacists run the Middle East. They go over there and pick and choose which Muslim country
So you're
they
talking
want
about
to dominate and destroy.
You're talking about Western oil influences are now synonymous with white supremacy.
Yeah.
So here's another perfect example
Yes.
of you being blinded by white supremacy. You're just taking the umbrella of white supremacy and putting it on top of whatever issue it is you want to discuss. And then making some loose connection.
Not
When
a loose connection.
you
They
can-
dominate them
Dude,
totally,
Tariq,
sir.
You can make these
Do they
fucking
dominate them or
arguments
not?
So much better.
Do
You can-
they dominate them or not?
No, I will not say that white supremacy dominates them.
It doesn't matter
I
how
will
much-
say
sir.
Western capitalism dominates
That is
them.
white
Absolutely.
supremacy.
Absolutely.
Who controls Western capitalism?
I mean, it depends. It depends. I mean, I think Oprah's in control of her own network.
Oprah can be.
I think-
Oprah couldn't even handle the damn food industry. They almost destroyed Oprah's career. That's why she had to get Dr. Phil. Oprah got on television and said, "I'm never eating beef again." Hillbilly white men almost destroyed Oprah. She had to go get hillbilly Dr. Phil to save her. That's why
I don't think you give Oprah enough credit for the power that she has.
No,
and
I
her
love
ability.
Oprah to death, but the thing is,
I'm
Oprah's
just saying-
still under the system of white supremacy.
No,
though.
Oprah.
They'll let her know
Oprah,
that.
Listen, I'm not familiar with the food industry that she does, but what she did for television was unprecedented.
Nobody's
what she did
questioning
for the
that. That's
magazine
my
industry
sister.
was
Nobody's
unprecedented.
questioning that.
It seems that you're questioning it, and it seems that
I'm
you're
not.
belittling her efforts.
I'm not.
By
See, that's
saying
the trick. No,
trick. Let me make the point before you say trick.
No, that's
Let me
a
make
trick.
the
You're trying to
point
make
before
it
you
seem
say
like I'm
trick.
dumping on Oprah. I love Oprah.
Let me
but
explain
Oprah,
why.
like me and other people, are still victims of white supremacy.
Let me explain why I think that they are unknowingly dumping on Oprah.
I'm
It's
not.
because you're acting as if Oprah didn't earn that.
I never said that.
You said
I
you're
never
acting
said
like she
that.
was allowed to have it.
She earned it. A lot of us earn things, but we're still under the system
No,
of white
because
supremacy
these
where they can
Nigerians
take it
are
back.
allowed.
They are allowed.
So,
that
but
doesn't
is
say that they're
Oprah
not
allowed,
thorough.
or did she claw away and get that
doesn't say
herself?
that they're not thorough. Let's be very clear.
Did she claw away and get it herself, or did she allow it?
It doesn't matter how qualified you are in the system
now
of white
you're scared
supremacy.
to go at Oprah.
No, I love Oprah. I
So
love
you either
Oprah
got to
to
be
life.
consistent with your
I love
argument.
Oprah.
Do the white supremacists allow Oprah to have it?
Yes.
Or does she claw away at it?
No, you can still be thorough, but they allow you to do
so
certain
Oprah
things.
didn't earn that herself.
She did earn it herself.
See, I think
It
Oprah
doesn't
earned
matter.
it all herself, and I think she might have had to work harder than someone else in her position.
Now, why would she have to work harder?
Obviously, because of racial issues.
There you go. Thank you,
Of course.
you.
But
we're on the same page.
No. Honestly,
you admitted
in a
it.
lot of
That's
ways,
all white
in a lot of
supremacy.
ways, we are on the same page. I just think that you're confusing, or maybe purposely putting this idea of white supremacy because it's something you want to prove so bad.
So we just proved
on
that
top-
white supremacy dominates religion. What other areas
No,
of activity?
we actually disproved that entirely.
No, we did not. I just
You
proved
completely agreed with me that
No.
these idols reflect the people that they want to
No,
bring
white
on.
supremacy dominates all.
I
You're
mean-
talking about thousands of years ago, there wasn't white supremacy.
I mean, if you
Within
look
the
at-
last 500 years, that's when white
If you look
supremacy
at
rose.
Islam, which
if
is
we're talking
really
thousands of
interesting-
years ago, there wasn't white supremacy then. Now there is white supremacy, and it dominates all areas
That's
of
very
activity.
convenient, isn't it?
No, it's not convenient. That's just history.
Right when you have an argument that all of a sudden that's just what happens.
I mean, that's what happens
No,
historically.
This is why. So you're upset that now Okay, so your argument is
Yes.
now white supremacy dominates religion.
It does
Now,
in
but
all areas.
Thousands of years ago, it didn't.
No, it didn't because there was no white supremacy.
Right.
Because
And when
African
did
people were ruling all over the
When did they
place.
decide that Jesus was white? Now or thousands of years ago?
No, about 500 years ago. About 500 years ago, that's when they started to promote the white
No,
Jesus
500 years
ideology.
ago, Islam was popping. We're talking about.
We're talking about 500 years
Fi-
ago when
if
Columbus
you
and all
look
these
at-
people started sailing around the world. They
Sure.
started to
Before that,
Christianize
Jesus was
everybody.
white. Before that, Jesus was white. You just have to look at the
there's,
art.
there's
Just look
images
at
of
the
black.
art.
The original images of Jesus is black.
No, I think
paintings-
he was Middle Eastern.
There's paintings in the Middle Eastern. They were black basically. The original ones they were black.
Now everybody's black.
They
Now
were
everybody's
black.
changing colors.
No,
Now everybody's
no,
doing
no. What are
this.
you? No,
No,
what are
they
you?
weren't.
Jewish? What are you? Jewish? Italian? What are you?
I'm my mother's Scottish and my dad is Irish and German.
Okay, because
White guy.
some of the
So-
original
so the point
Irish were
is-
even black. Go get a book by David McRitchie, Ancient and Modern
I mean, the
Britons.
original humans were black. We can go back as far as that.
Right.
Obviously, everybody's black, but no, the original Irish were not black. There were black Irish, which
They
people
were
are
like
talking
that.
about. But the black Irish are those when the Spanish Armada landed in Ireland, not
But
an
you had
African
the Picts
thing.
and you had the Celts and you had all of these people.
Yeah, but
and-
none of that has to do with blackness. You're just saying words.
I'm not. No.
You're just saying words that you
Some
don't
of the
really know
original,
what they mean.
some of the original people in Ireland.
Okay,
This is
the
a white guy
Celts.
said this. White guy named David McRitchie said this in the book
tell
Ancient
me
and
about
Modern
the
Britons.
Celts. Tell me about the Celts and how they're black.
And these are the redheads. But there was a guy named David McRitchie.
tell me about the
listen,
Celts.
I'm telling you about
You're
this book.
just saying
The
words you don't know the definition
Ancient
to.
and Modern
You can do that with
Britons.
some
There's a white
people.
guy.
You can't do that with me.
Go get the book.
I know my shit. That's the
David
difference.
McRitchie.
Okay? This is
Ancient and Modern
you
Britons.
need the Pistons.
There were original,
You need the Pistons.
original people
'Cause
in
most
Ireland were
people
black
let
folks.
you say that shit.
No.
Tell me what the Celts and the Picts are.
The original people in Ireland were black people. The Picts
my
and all these people. That's what a white guy said it. So he must be lying.
A white guy said it, so it must be true.
A
You
white guy
must
wrote
really
it in the
believe this
1800s.
white supremacy shit.
A white guy wrote
You
it in the
must really
1800s, so
believe it.
he must have been lying because that's where I got it from.
All right, well, I think you need to re-look at that source. I think you need to look at it again. And as far as religion goes,
Yes.
clearly, I mean, one of the, I think the most effective tools about Islam is you're not allowed to show pictures of the Prophet, right? It is illegal in the religion. You can die when you show pictures of the Prophet. Now, when you're not allowed to show pictures of the Prophet, that's pretty convenient for convincing the whole world that that's your Prophet because he could look just like you in your image, can he? He can look just like you. So when I go to Asia, when I go to India, if I'm spreading Islam, which it spread very quickly throughout the entire world, I mean, the largest Islamic population in the world is Indonesia. You go to Indonesia, they can imagine that Muhammad looks just like them in Indonesian. So it's an effective tool for spreading.
But the thing is, they're dominated. That religion is dominated by the white supremacists because they can take them out anytime. And they can criminalize a whole religious
I mean, is
group
the
of
whole
people.
world dominated
They
by Russia because they
can-
have a nuclear weapon? They can take people out
Yeah,
at a time?
they're white. It's white on white crime, as far as I'm concerned. But as
But
far as Islam,
Yes.
they can take out anybody. It doesn't matter how much money you have. With Gaddafi, all of these people, they had a lot of money, took them out overnight. So the white supremacists dominate all people.
Right. So that's
regardless of religion.
That's American empire.
That's still white supremacy. See, these are code words. See, a lot of people like to use these words as capitalism, it's empire, it's the Illuminati, it's the Bilderberg. That's that Alex Jones bullshit. It's the Bilderbergers. It's all different words for white supremacy.
Why is that?
Because the white supremacists are the ones you're talking about. When you're talking about all these different groups, it's like a corporation. And you're talking, there's a corporation called white supremacy, and you're just talking about the different floors in the same corporation.
So is there a difference if white supremacy looks out for white people so much, why are white people in America suffering?
Well, you have white sacrifices, and also it's
so
like
we're sacrificing the majority of white people.
Also, it's like military. You have generals,
poorly
captains.
Run corporation. This building needs some,
and even the look
renovations.
So you saying that poor white people, they're not white supremacists?
Well, I think poor white people will want to be white supremacists more than anything else because they actually value it. They actually benefit from it. But it serves because if I'm poor but I'm better than you and you're a rich black guy, then I, of course, want to align myself with this white supremacy. That makes perfect sense.
Exactly.
Now, why isn't the white supremacy elite that you're talking about that are making all these decisions, that are oppressing the Middle East, that are controlling the entire world, the white empire, why aren't those white people taking care of these poor white people if there's this agenda? Or is it maybe those white elite aren't really white elite, they're just rich people and they don't give a fuck about what color your skin is. They just want to keep all their money to themselves. And it has nothing to do with white supremacy, but rich supremacy and the top 1%. And if you're part of that group, then you get to play with us and you get to the spoils and fuck all the poor people regardless if they're black, regardless if they're white, regardless if they're Asian, regardless if they're Puerto Rican. It doesn't matter.
And the thing is, the problem with that argument, some of the worst and biggest white supremacists are dirt poor white people. They are some of the biggest white supremacists you ever want to meet because that's all they have.
That's all they have.
They can say, I live in a trailer, I'm on meth, I got head lice, but I'm doing better than that rich black guy because I will not be killed walking around unarmed, and my constitutional rights will be protected.
Lyndon B. Johnson said that. He goes, he said, if you can convince the lowest white man that he's better than the highest black man, you won't need to rob him. He'll hand his money to you.
That's why they gave all their money to Trump.
But listen, well, we can get into Trump in a second, but I think that they gave their money to Trump. I think some people gave their money to Trump for racial motives, but I don't think all of them. But in terms of that stigma right there, he's saying they'll hand their money to you. What Lyndon B. Johnson is saying with that quote is you can manipulate them so you can rob them. It's not this, hey, you got white skin, I want to take care of you. It's, hey, you're an idiot and you're poor, well, I'm going to take advantage of you. I'm going to sell you this lie, not so all of us white people can enjoy the spoils of America, so I can rob your fucking ass and you can think you're better than somebody so you'll let me fucking rob you. So I think that these wealthy people, I think that the step that you're kind of missing is that there's a level of wealth in this country where they don't give a fuck about anybody's skin color, nothing. They give a fuck about promoting their business, promoting their agenda. And I think if we look at this through the guise of white supremacy, we just continue allowing them to rob everyone.
But the thing is, nobody's doing anything about white supremacy. See, and the thing is,
of course we're doing something about white supremacy.
You're not. Nobody's doing anything about white supremacy.
I heard you say that on the tax season podcast. You said America is more racist than ever.
Yeah. Yes.
You believe that?
Not believe. I know.
America is more racist than ever.
Yeah.
So right now
it's gotten worse. White supremacy has gotten worse. So
you agree with Donald Trump? We have to make America great again, then?
Yeah, but he's not going to do it. How's he going to do it?
But I'm just saying, you would like to go back to another point in time. What point in time you think?
Let's just make America great. But again, let's make it great.
Well, apparently it was greater before, according to you. What time period would you like to go back to?
I'm just saying,
1863.
No, there's
Emancipation Proclamation. Like when was America? Like you're telling me America used to be better in terms of racism.
That. Well, no,
you said used to be verbatim.
Better.
You said verbatim. It's never been more racist.
Right. So you saying, are you flipping that to say that I'm saying that it was better racial? Because
that's what never been.
No.
Implies.
No, because you cannot have better racism. That's the thing. I've always said we live in a system of white supremacy.
Sure.
That's what I said.
Sure.
We live in and there is no progressive white supremacy. There's no better white supremacy. It's just white supremacy.
So y'all haven't killed each other yet?
No.
Okay, good conversation.
It's
great. Good dialogue.
No, absolutely great. And I'm so happy you came. Welcome, Charlamagne. My point is that clearly white supremacy was more intact when black people weren't humans when they were considered livestock.
Or was it 2/3?
Then when a black person, well, even before there was two-thirds was was progress.
Yeah.
They got to 2/3 just so
you
they could
trying
get
to say
votes.
that there's racial progress
In America?
Yeah.
Yeah, you go from owning livestock, humans as livestock, to having a black president. I think that's racial progress.
There's no such thing. That's like
it is
progressive
racial progress.
Of
though.
course
That's
it's
like
racial
progressive
progress.
rape. If you rape somebody, do you have progressive rape? There were rapists back then, but there's just a few rapists now. They're not as brutal as the rape. Is that progressive rape?
There's definitely levels to rape.
Tariq is a brilliant
Really?
idiot.
Of course
I
there's
just
levels
walked
to
in-
rape.
I
There's a
just
level
walked
to
in,
rape?
Tariq.
Of course
What
there's
the
levels
fuck
to
is
rape.
this?
Of course. Are you out of your mind? Okay, if you had
levels of rape?
to, okay, I'm going to ask you right now. If you had to, okay, ready? Here's a level of rape. If you had to
The
get
fuck
raped,
am I sitting here with?
if you had to get raped by Wax, right? You know Charlemagne's buddy?
Okay.
Wax,
Okay.
or a 5-foot Asian, whose dick do you want?
None.
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 Whose dick do you
All
want,
right,
Tariq?
thank you very much, everybody.
Tariq,
You
whose
just
dick do you
proved your
want?
point. Rape is rape.
No. You know,
All right.
hey, give me Kwong Kwong. I want that shit. Do not give me Wax. Okay?
No dick for me.
Of course,
no dick
that's
for
not
me.
the hypothetical. But the point is, would you rather live in America now? Would you rather live in America in slavery? Would you rather live in
Well, we
America
still
now
live in slavery. This is slavery. We still live in
That's
slavery.
insulting to
That's
what
not.
slaves
That's
went
a
through.
whole.
That is
no.
insulting
The
to what
prison
slaves
industrial
went through.
complex is slavery,
That is
man.
insulting to what slaves went through.
Jeez, we're going to slavery
real
now.
quick.
Slavery just
But-
meaning
but real
slavery
quick,
means
what would
we
you
have
rather?
you dominated,
What would you
and you
rather?
can't do anything about
Would
it.
you rather live in a time where you can sell books, you can sell movies, you can travel the country doing radio, you can make, I assume, I don't know if you're a millionaire, made millions of dollars?
Yeah.
Or would you rather be living in a shed, eating horrible food, and being whipped every single day and being chained? Which is better for you? Which would you rather?
Well, the thing is, I
That's a
still,
hard-
I still live in a system where they can shoot me and get away with it. Right
Which would
now,
you rather?
2017.
Just answer the
Right
question.
now, I'm telling you now, it's no difference. It's no difference.
There's
There's
no
no
difference.
difference. I can be killed now. They can be killed then. I can be
People-
killed now.
we've made a
I
lot-
can be
but
killed
come
now.
on,
Anybody can be killed.
listen,
you're not
A
going to be
white
killed with
infant can
impunity.
be shot by cops in the car.
No, well, they went right to jail, so that's going to deter anybody
that
from
doesn't
doing
stop
that
you from
shit.
being
But
killed.
the thing is, you have people out here who are allowed and being rewarded to kill black people out here. They're not
I
rewarded
can't
to kill
believe you
you.
think that you live the exact same life
No,
as a
we've
slave.
made a lot.
Nothing has
Listen, we
changed.
can do better, but we have made so much racial
we-
progress
we
in
made-
America.
People
How was
lose
racial-
respect
how was
from your
racial progress,
arguments.
brother?
People
I mean-
lose respect for your arguments
No,
if you don't have
listen.
intellectual consistency.
Let's talk
this
the
is not
truth.
intellectually consistent.
It's very consistent.
No, it's
How
not.
have we
You know
changed?
damn well
We
you'd
just
rather
have
the
changed.
Asian dick.
We
Tariq,
just-
talk
we
when you
just-
talk shows. Go ahead, Tariq.
We just have technology, but the technology is basically
You have freedom.
really enforced
You
more
have
white
freedom.
supremacy.
You have freedom.
Well, no,
you
we
can
don't.
vote. You can choose your destiny of your life. You
Vote
can
for
choose
who?
to. You can choose to leave
Vote for
America.
who?
Vote for Barack Obama.
And Barack Obama is controlled by the white supremacists.
And I remember you
See,
said
we're
that.
still under the thumb of white supremacy.
I think,
It's like a prison, brother.
I think
it's
you
like
need
a
to do
prison.
some
You
more
say you can do
research.
stuff in the prison.
I think you need to
I
do
don't
more
want to be in the
research
prison. We need to
terms
get rid of the prison.
What Barack Obama has done specifically
No,
for black people.
we know that Barack Obama, he wasn't allowed to do anything. And if he did something, they would have blew him up in the White House and the whole nine.
But Barack
he wasn't
Obama
allowed
did
to
a
do
lot.
anything, not for black people. No,
He
he
absolutely
didn't.
did.
No,
I
he
mean, I
didn't.
can go through a
Okay,
list
here
of
we
it
go.
because I looked at it last night. Obviously, he
Okay,
had
here
two
we
black
go.
attorney generals.
That means nothing. They were powerless tokens too, who couldn't punish none of these race soldiers killing black people. They were powerless tokens.
The Jobs Act.
That's that token thing.
Everything's a token if you disagree with it, I guess.
There's two
You have
black
to come
people.
up with
There's two
arguments.
black people
You have
there.
no
So
arguments.
that's
No, this is a good
progress.
conversation. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean, I think you need to think about an argument. So
What
the
else?
Jobs Act, it made money available for minority-owned business owners.
What's a minority?
Anything
Schultz.
that's not white supremacy,
Bullshit.
except Nigerians because they're white supremacy to you.
Most minorities are white.
Nigerians are white. by the
Most
way.
most minorities are white. See, watch these trick words. Most minorities are white.
In terms of, you're saying women are a minority, is that what you're trying
White
to say?
women,
Right.
Hispanics who are classified as white.
Well, it depends what
Gay,
type of Hispanic.
white men, they're classified as minorities.
Not all Hispanics are white. Okay.
I know over here about 80% of them are white.
Okay, so he
over
cut
here they are.
black unemployment in half. It went from 18.6% to 8.3%. That is specifically something that he did for black people. The Ready for Work Partnership, $170 million for back to long-term work programs that disproportionately help black people. So 25% of the black recipients were black. 12% of the population, they were reflected double the recipients of this specific program for black people.
Wait,
So
what
that's
was the
another
name
thing
of that program?
The Ready for Work Partnership. And what it did is it prepared people for long-term work ethics. So it's not like I'm going to get you a job and then you're going to be out of this work in 2 years. years, but it not only prepared people for the jobs, but it trained them for the jobs and connected them with the jobs that they could
I
actually
haven't
have
heard
for
of that
long-term.
program, and most black people haven't heard of that program. So I don't think that
25%
thing,
of the people in the program are black.
I don't know nobody. I don't know one black person who has heard of that program.
Listen, you also didn't know.
I didn't
How
know
many
that.
people did it affect?
How many
black
people did it help? Because they
directly?
watch. They say this stuff like 25% of the unemployed. See, they work these little numbers.
Yeah, how many
and,
black
and it don't
people did it
really
affect?
affect
I
a
didn't
large
get the
numbers.
statistic of how many people. All I can tell you is the 170 million black people got 25% of that. The small business.
And I got to verify that because that sounds real funny style.
Please do. Small Business Association loans. The fee for those loans went to zero. They targeted blacks by partnering with the U.S. Black Chambers.
Targeting blacks. Watch these terms.
I'm
Are you saying
telling
they
you-
targeting blacks? Those are not
I'm gonna tell you
specifically
how
for
they
black
targeted.
people.
I'm going to tell you how they targeted black. So they partnered with the U.S. Black Chambers and the 100 Black Men of America to make sure that these loans were targeted to blacks. The fair
But did they
sentence.
get them though? Did they get them? Exactly.
Oh my
Did they
God.
get them?
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
you don't know if they did
you
that.
don't
So
know that they
you're
didn't.
watching these words like
That's
targeted.
true.
You don't know if they didn't.
Right.
So there it is. So until you can tell me they didn't, then
So,
they did.
those are weak reaches, man.
The Fair
That's
Sentencing
a weak
Act.
reach.
Fair Sentencing Act. This narrowed the gaps in sentencing between crack and cocaine. Okay, this is something specifically that I'm sure that you were referencing when you talked about the institutionalized racism and institutionalized imprisonment of black people. So he specifically targeted the difference in time served.
Then
for
why
cocaine and
why
crack.
are so many black people still disproportionately in jail for
they were already in
nonviolent
jail.
drug crime?
Well, Barack
Fine,
can't
but-
change that in 8 years.
All right,
Yeah.
but let's be real. Let's not throw all these little.
Well, you think that's because of
these little
racism?
symbolic things.
Well, you think that's because of racism?
Because brothers in jail like
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
So here's a question: 95% of the people in jail are male. Is that because the justice system is sexist?
No. But the justice system is dominated by white supremacy. You know why? Because
Well, no. Let's just
listen,
attach on
listen.
that. So it's not. So I gave you a statistic, right? That is the same statistic that you gave me, but you said
no.
immediately no and discredited it. Now, this is a perfect example of where you're blinded by race.
Right.
You see a race statistic, you believe it, right? Because
Yeah,
we don't
based
question
on
the
numbers.
things. We don't question. And I gave you a gender statistic, and you believe it, and you and you completely disregarded it.
You're
I'm what?
going off from what I'm saying.
What was
Listen
your
what I'm
point?
saying.
No,
What my
it's-
point?
you're
I don't know.
responding to what I'm
went
saying.
on.
My
I'm
point
asking
is,
you.
just because
I'm
a
asking
statistic
you.
exists
You're
doesn't
deflecting,
mean
Schultz.
there's reason.
Schultz, you're
You
gotta let
deflecting.
him talk.
You're
Schultz.
deflecting, Schultz. So
He's a grown man. Will you
Schultz
let
is
that man have a
deflecting.
No,
conversation?
we got to
He's
have a
not a baby.
conversation. You got to think about people listening. Like,
So,
go
do you
ahead,
think,
go
so
ahead.
you're
on,
saying
Tariq.
that
95% of people in
the
male.
disproportionate number of black men in jail
Yeah.
is not because of race, not because of white supremacy.
Not necessarily.
Most black men are in
Not
jail.
necessarily.
Most black men are in jail
Yeah.
for nonviolent drug offenses. Our sister Michelle Alexander, she broke that down in her book. But the number one drug in the country, crystal meth, heroin, that stuff, and 90% of the people who use and sell are white.
Are you familiar with the punishment for crystal meth? Are you familiar with the how long you have to do in jail if you're caught with that?
How long? What does that have to do with them going to jail, period? Because
Exactly the same amount of time for crack. Now,
so how
meth-
come the jails are not filled
meth,
with
Tariq,
white meth and heroin users
Actually,
and
they're
sellers?
increasingly becoming that way.
Increasingly? Well, how come they're not now? Why
Because
not
meth
now?
is a newer drug. And
Meth has
crack
been around
happened
for
in the
a
80s.
long
No, it
time.
hasn't. Meth is a much newer
Meth has
drug.
been around for a long time.
Heroin's
Heroin's
is an
been
older
around.
drug, but meth is a much newer drug, and they're increasingly so inside these jails. The
So
numbers are
you're
shocking.
just saying they haven't gotten them yet? That's what
Shocking.
you're saying?
It's happening. I think in the next 10 years, you're going to see a similar epidemic with meth as we saw with crack.
No.
How
no,
new
no,
is
no,
meth,
no,
though? I thought meth been
Meth
around.
has been around for a long time. Meth has been around for a long. That's not true, show.
It absolutely is true. You can look it up.
Meth
You can
has
look
been
these
around
things
for a
up.
long
So now
time.
let's
Do that.
let's
Meth-
now let's
sir,
look at the
now, that's going to be that's being
statistic.
disingenuous, but that's okay.
Let's look at the
That's okay.
95% statistic. So 95% of the people in jail are male. Is that because jail is sexist? You said that jail is racist because the majority of people in jail are black, or a disproportionate
Yes.
amount of blacks are in jail. So that means that was enough proof for you to say it's racist. So I'm saying 95% of people in jail are male. That is disproportionately male to female. Is that by your logic because jail is sexist?
No, that's just a deflective argument, Schultz. That's nothing but a deflection. It has nothing
Just
to do
'cause
with
you
it has
don't have
nothing
an
to do with the
answer
price.
doesn't mean it's
but
deflective.
it's no answer. It's a deflective argument that has nothing to do with the price of tea in China. The reason why there's so many people, and even let's go to black women, more black women in jail than white women, and there's more white women who are meth users and drug users there. So it always goes back to systematic white
Now,
supremacy.
there's also more black women in college and more black women in graduate school.
Not than white women.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, obviously, there's more white women in the country, but percentage-wise, black women are the most educated people in the country. So, is that because education system is racist?
So
according to you?
we're going by the percentage thing.
That's
I'm
how
talking
you
about
look
raw,
at.
you
That's how you look at a
raw
demographic.
numbers. No, you look
can't
at raw
raw-
numbers.
Okay, well,
you look at raw numbers.
White people are 5 times the population of black people. Clearly, there's going to be more of them.
And if there's 5% of the population, why are so many more black people in jail? And you're 5% of the population. All these black men are in jail.
We could also look at the same statistic and say, why are there so many black people?
But no. We can also
killing-
answer that question.
Why? Okay, what is your question?
The question is,
And methamphetamine has been around since 1887, by the way.
I'm not saying they haven't been around, but the meth it's like saying crack. Yeah, you could make
So you said
cracks in the
so is
beginning.
it the meth epidemic, or you said meth is a newer drug?
right.
The meth epidemic is a new drug. Yeah, the meth epidemic is
newer.
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah. But back to your question. You had a
But
question.
the question is, because there's 5 times more white people in the country, shouldn't they be in jail 5 times more?
Absolutely.
Then why are they not?
You would think.
Then why are
right?
they not?
Because in what the justice system believes is they aren't committing the crime at that rate.
Why do they think that?
I don't know. Why do you think that?
White supremacy?
I wouldn't chalk it up to just white supremacy. I would chalk it up to the lasting effects of slavery, and I would talk about
Which is white
and Jim Crow.
supremacy?
Which is
white supremacy. You keep bringing different words
it's
for
been
white
proven that mass
supremacy.
incarceration is a race issue, though.
Yeah.
It's been proven.
yes. There are.
We
certain,
agree on a lot of stuff.
There
So
are
you
there are
prove a lot
certain
of stuff,
aspects.
right?
Absolutely. There are certain aspects. I can't deny that, and I absolutely would deny. But I think that it is more detailed and nuanced than you give it credit for. So, for example, when we look at the numbers that we see, I guess you chalk up everything that has happened to black people in America to the history of black people in America.
I chop up everything that happens now. Everything, especially everything negative that happens to black society, is completely orchestrated by white supremacy, and I mean that with no exceptions.
I mean, President Obama said that in his farewell speech the other day. He said that white people need to stop dismissing the fact that the after effects of slavery and Jim Crow are very much affecting us as a society.
And he also
now.
said stop looking at everything as a race thing.
He did, but both it works both ways.
Yeah.
You don't look at everything as a race thing, but you have to deal with the reality of the situation.
Absolutely. I've never denied that. I've been a very strong proponent of the effects of Jim Crow and slavery, and I think it's one of the reasons why blacks that come here from Africa and the West Indies are so successful in this country is because they don't have that lasting legacy and they don't have that victimology mentality that the blacks that are raised in
they
America
have it. They have it. But the thing is,
Not to the
allowed.
extent.
They're allowed over here. See,
Not to the
especially in
extent.
their country, their countries are dominated by white supremacy. That's why they had to bring their asses over here.
But they grew up with their own leaders, right? They grew up
No,
looking
they
at
grew up with puppet leaders.
black
They know
presidents.
that.
They grew up looking at black people in office. They grew up looking at black business
Nelson
owners.
Mandela was a real leader.
They go look at all these things. I
I've
mean, they
been
had
a
many of
brother-
them were real leaders.
I've been Schultz. I've been to Africa. When a white person steps
Where in
out,
Africa?
I've been to Ethiopia. I've been to Egypt. I've been to Tanzania. I've been to South Africa. Been to Zanzibar. And one thing I've noticed: whenever a white person steps out somewhere, black people there surround them because they know that we live in a global system of white supremacy, and those are the people with the resources, and that's who I need
Surround
to be around.
them? What do you mean?
So literally, surround them, like begging. Surround them. Like, hey, who are you? What do you do? You got food, medicine, and this is
So
why
is that
African people
because-
are getting on ships and boats, floating over to Europe, because
Again,
those
so
are the
is-
people who have all the resources.
Is that okay? Just like you just said it right
Yes.
there. You just said it. Is that because they're white, or is that because they have resources?
Ah,
Do you see what I'm saying?
Right.
They
Right.
want
Listen,
resources. So if
right,
a
right,
rich
right.
black guy
Right,
is
right.
walking through the streets of Zanzibar, I guarantee some black people are going to surround him, going, "Hey, do you have some resources for me? I'd love some resources. That'd be great."
right. So the resource thing. Why do white people have so many resources globally?
Well, not white people. White people don't. I mean, if we look at America, we see the intense poverty across America, the intense welfare state
where's
that
the
America has become.
Who has the
There
majority of the
are
resources?
white people that have
who have the
resources.
majority of the global resources?
A very small percentage of 1% of the population that is not
Right.
reflective of if
Right.
I blamed or you or anybody blamed all black people for the actions of 1% of black people, right? You would call that racist or prejudice. But you have no problem blaming all white people for the actions of 1% of whites.
No. I've never said that. Let's be very clear.
I
I've
mean,
always said all white people are
just
not
said it
white
right now.
supremacists. I never said that. No, I didn't. No, I never said that. All white people are not white supremacists.
I don't know if you
the
know what
white
you're saying.
supremacists are the most powerful people on the planet.
That's what we were talking about with Tariq earlier, because whenever he goes on Tucker's show, I always tell him I think that's dangerous because they try to paint him as a racist
Right.
instead of a person who's against white supremacy. I think it's a difference.
Right, but they just twist your words and use the I'm white, not say so narrative. So
Yeah.
no matter what I say, they're going to flip it and just say something else anyway. So that's I'm white, not say so. I'm used to that.
All right. Let's pause this conversation with Tariq Nasheed to tell you that this episode of Brilliant Idiots is brought to you by Squarespace. Whatever your next move might be, get it started on a good foot by using Squarespace. Squarespace provides simple, intuitive tools that allow you to build the website of your dreams with ease. Squarespace is used by a wide range of people and businesses, including musicians, designers, artists, and even restaurants. And it gives you the ability to create an online platform from which to make your next move known to the world. You can add and arrange your content and feature with the click of a mouse. And there's nothing to install, patch, or upgrade ever. Though, if you do have a question, Squarespace provides award-winning 24/7 customer support and can help you with any problem, no matter how technical or trivial seeming. So whether you need a landing page, a beautiful gallery, a professional blog, or an online store, it's all included in your Squarespace website. Start your free trial today at squarespace.com and enter offer code IDIOT to get 10% off your first purchase. Squarespace, set your website apart. Let's get back into our conversation with Tariq Nasheed. Now,
Yeah,
what is the argument that y'all are having here? That white supremacy exists?
No, we agree that white supremacy is. What I think
his
that he
argument
does is
is
often.
he's
I think he wants to prove white supremacy so much that he often loses or misses out or is blind to the real cause on some issues. On some issues, it's white supremacy, an undeniable fact, right? And on other issues, it might have nothing to do with white supremacy, but because you want to prove it so badly, you miss that.
And I want him to tell me what areas of activity that are not dominated by white supremacy.
We just proved it. Religion.
He said religion, and I just proved that religion is completely dominated by white supremacy.
You just proved that you don't know nothing about religion.
I just did.
Which religion, though? Which one are you talking about?
All of them.
All of them are dominated by white supremacy. Yeah.
We can't go back on this because
Yeah,
we already proved it, but it's not even close. Not even close.
When there's black churches, white churches, it's definitely dominated by white supremacy.
Okay, another thing that you said on the tax season podcast is you were talking about black feminists date white men, and it's because you said this is because of the Negro bed wench mentality.
I heard it too.
Yeah. And so what do you mean by that?
Well, the thing is, unfortunately, when you're a captive people, people can take advantage of you sexually and psychologically. And during slavery, they took advantage of sisters sexually, and black men too. A lot of black men were raped on these plantations by white males. So now that mentality, unfortunately, is somewhat still prevalent, where people in black society, captive people, feel like they have to be sexually submissive to those in the dominant white society. This goes with black women and black men, unfortunately.
Right. So, so to this point, I think there's another time where you're again blind to what the real issue is here, and I think
what's the real issue?
I think the real issue here is that third wave modern feminists, like this is the most recent form of feminism, which I agree with you in a lot of ways. I'm very critical of, and I think we share a lot of the same sentiments. These women, regardless of race, date emasculated men because that's the only way they can feel powerful. Now, emasculated men happen to be white more in America because in certain white groups in America, machismo or the pressure to be machismo or tough doesn't exist.
Did you just say white men are pussy?
Yeah.
In certain white groups. No, in certain. I wouldn't say that. I say this on the podcast all the fucking time. We are creating pathetic individuals, but when I see certain white groups, they embrace how pussy they are, basically. And I think that's why you see white feminists dating them, black feminists dating them. You know, you see these really emasculated men. We're like, is this guy gay? Are they? I don't even understand. Are they best friends? I'm not even sure what it is. So I don't think that this is a reflection of this Negro bedmensch mentality. I think it literally is, how do I feel powerful? I damn sure can't do that with a Tariq. I damn sure can't do that with a Charlemagne. I damn sure I can't do that with a Schultz. I'm going to get me a little pussy that I can walk all over and make me feel empowered.
I don't believe.
Yeah, you just said white men are pussy and black women are kind of pussy. I don't believe that.
I don't believe that at all. I don't believe that at all because the mayor of New York, what's his name? De Blasio?
He's a pussy.
Yeah, you say he's a pussy. He's the mayor of damn New York. He's
so
a powerful
what?
guy.
He can still be a pussy.
His wife used to be a feminist. She used to be a black feminist back in the 70s. So, yeah, he's not powerless. This man runs the city.
Why can't it just be love? Why can't it just be interracial couples? Why can't it just be a guy loves a girl or a girl loves a guy?
Well, ask him that question. Yeah. I think that's fine, but he doesn't believe that's possible. He
believes
it's possible.
But the thing is, when I see people,
you're in an interracial relationship, right?
No.
Your wife isn't.
Whoa! Fox News, go ahead.
No, but is your wife not of mixed race?
Yeah, my wife is black. She's biracial, but she's black.
So she's half black, half what?
Yeah, half white.
Okay, so she's half black, half white,
which is black.
Okay,
She's
that's.
Barack
I mean,
Obama.
I've
baby.
always said that.
She's J. Cole.
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
Drake.
I've always said that you can make that distinction. You can do that as well. But I mean,
shit, in the system
technically,
of white supremacy, they made that decision.
sure. But technically,
Yeah.
are you a Negro bed wench?
No, because I'm not with a white woman.
I mean, to some people, you might be.
When you
And
met
ain't
her,
nothing
when
wrong
you
with
met
being
her,
with a
you
white
thought-
woman.
when you met her, you
Ain't
thought she was a black woman.
I knew she was a black woman. She said it.
Yeah, she's
What's her father?
Oh, He's black. He's black.
Oh,
dude.
yeah, she's
he's
black.
black.
I
She's
I mean, if
black.
you come out the white pussy, you're white.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, that's what it is.
So
You
listen,
please.
why did
I'm
you?
just saying,
you know,
what Schultz is really upset about? I don't know if y'all talked about this. He don't like being called a suspected white supremacist.
I don't like white supremacy. So let's get rid of white supremacy, and I won't suspect nobody of being a white
Well,
supremacist.
here's my issue. Here's my issue with the suspected thing.
Yes.
I think it's lazy. Because what it does is it gives a person the stigma of being a white supremacist without you actually doing the due diligence and research to find out if that person is. It's like saying someone's a suspected pedophile. It's like, well, I'm not going to let that person babysit. Even if that person has not been proven to be a pedophile, just suspected is enough for me to be like, get away from my fucking kids.
Now imagine that stigma magnified to our everyday lives. We are suspected of having a gun. We are
By whom?
suspected. By whom?
Not by
the
me.
Pantaleos of the world.
But not by
we're
me.
the ones who are suspected of selling cigarettes illegally, and we're harmed by that.
Right.
We're
But
suspected
not by
of
me.
robbing a store.
But not by me.
But by the white supremacists.
So
And I'm
that
not
gives
saying
you
you are.
permission
I'm
to
not
do it
saying
to
you
me?
are. I'm not saying you are. But you're not telling us who the white supremacists are, and I'm not calling you a white supremacist. But if you do something, I'm going to have to suspect you might be for my own safety.
It sounds like both of y'all don't want nobody
So-
generalizing.
Right.
So what I guess what I want to know is
So
you're
you're going to get a stigma, but I could possibly get killed out here for being a suspect. So that's the big difference, Joe. So let's remove white supremacy altogether, so nobody will be suspected of anything.
Do you agree two things can be wrong?
Like what do you mean?
Just two
Of
things can
course,
be wrong.
A thousand things can be
Killing
wrong.
somebody is wrong and rape is wrong.
Of course.
Both of those things are wrong.
Absolutely.
One doesn't negate the other.
Absolutely
right?
not.
It's not like I'm getting, this person over here is getting raped and you're like, yeah, but we're getting killed, so you need to shut up about your rape shit.
No,
that's what you're
that's
doing
not-
right
that's not
now.
my argument.
You're basically saying, hey, listen, I'm allowed to call you a suspected white supremacist because, hey, I've been going through some fucked up shit.
Because I'm a victim of white supremacy, so it's
So
my
you're
duty.
just
It's my
free
it's,
to call
it's-
anybody who you don't have to do any
no,
research.
that's my own. That is my own experience. When I say I suspect this person might be a white supremacist,
Right.
that's my experience.
So what have I said that made you suspect that?
I don't. I've never called you a suspected white supremacist. By the way, I haven't called you that.
Tariq.
I haven't called you that.
Tariq.
I haven't. I want
I've
you to
heard
listen.
I've heard you say that
People think that he
people
was.
think. Yeah, I've heard you say.
I haven't really
he's
listened to
never-
shows.
He's never directly called
And then
you.
he-
He's
Right.
said-
then
I've
he
never
later
called you a
did.
suspected
Yeah.
white supremacist.
That's-
I've
He said
never.
from what you've
From
heard.
From what I've heard.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
said that. I give him that. He said that.
So you find pushing this rhetoric out there,
What rhetoric?
this suspected white supremacist. So what you've heard mean? I guess at what point
I've heard
in time,
people tell people like Schultz is a white supremacist.
Okay, so I've heard people
So that's
say,
why I'm not going to call you one.
I've
but,
heard somebody say you're gay. That
Right.
Are you a suspected homosexual?
Well, you can't find a booty hole that I've had relations with, so that's easy
So you
to
can't
disprove.
find a person that I've had white supremacy towards.
But the thing is, what have you done to replace the system of white supremacy?
What have you
with
done
justice?
to not fuck booty holes?
I put my dick in my pants.
Well, I don't know that.
You don't
But it's
have
not
to.
in your
I know
pants.
it.
Yeah, but
I
you
know
know
it.
it, but I don't. You
I
haven't
do.
proved it to me.
So
you could be
can-
fucking booty holes. I don't
could,
know.
but I'm not.
First
so
of
that's
all,
cool.
I never said you fucked him. Maybe you got fucked.
I know my booty hole is closed too.
But we don't
But
know
you can
that.
think- I don't care if you don't know that.
That's why I said
my booty hole no.
suspected.
Guys,
You're
we're
suspected.
not here to discuss gay rights.
suspected.
We're not here to discuss gay
Schultz
rights.
is
guys.
really a lot on this dick and booty talk. with Schultz, man.
Absolutely.
Goddamn.
Welcome
He's
to
white.
White
He
Boys.
white.
This
He's
is how
white,
white
Tariq.
boys hang out,
He's
Tariq.
white.
Why do you think we're so emasculated?
But you thought he
We
was one
talk
of these
about
white
this.
guys? You thought he was one of these white guys that like black?
That's
He's
what I
white.
thought. I'm like, goddamn.
No, I'm the real fucking deal, baby.
Prefers
He
Asian
tried to
dick.
suck his own dick before. He's white.
God.
Come on now, who hasn't?
So listen, how do we get to a solution? Because
Yes,
I feel like
yes.
we do
No,
need
but
to
this is
have-
important. I
Yes,
don't want to get away
yes.
from the suspected
Yes.
thing. I'm just saying, I could go through and find people saying things that you say you're suspected of, which I think are unfair. I would never put them out there. Even if I disagree with you on a million different things. And I've already said to you, and I mean this sincerely, I think you're incredibly talented. I mean this sincerely. I would never put those things out there because I haven't done the work. I have a certain amount of integrity. I haven't done the work to find out if you
But the
are
thing
these
is, Schultz,
things.
man, we live in a system where black people are getting executed out here in the streets.
What does that
so
have to
we
do with me
need to know,
being called a suspected white supremacist? That doesn't
I
give you
never called
permission.
that, but
Just
we
because
need
you've been
to
through
know
something.
Who's the white supremacist? Nobody's telling us who the white supremacists are.
If I'm born with terminal cancer, does that mean that I can do whatever I want?
Nobody's
because I have
telling us
terminal
who
cancer?
the white supremacists are. We're going to have to suspect somebody of being a white supremacist in a system
So I'm
of
a
white
casualty
supremacy.
of a dice game. So
You're not.
So
You're not. I'm not calling
so
it
you're
white
basically
supremacy, bro.
stop and frisk with white supremacy. You believe in stop and frisk.
We have to, as victims
believe
of
in
white
stop and
supremacy,
frisk.
we need to know who's a potential white supremacist, who might
You
harm us.
sound a lot like the cops.
When we walk,
need to find out who's shooting people, so
but
we're going to
not
stop
shooting
everybody.
Cops. We're not killing cops with impunity.
But
we're not
people
killing.
were shooting people
we,
in New
we
York.
just need to know who might victimize us. That's all we need to do.
Generalizations are dangerous all across the board.
Right.
That's all I'm hearing in this conversation.
But real talk, I mean, you're doing stop and frisk with suspected white supremacists, and it's the same thing now. Suspected white now that it might be effective. Stop and frisk was very effective. I mean, and if you really want to look at who stop and frisk was targeting, which was Latinos and blacks, there was a 6-month period from like January to June in New York City where Latinos and blacks were responsible for 98% of a gun.
But that's nation. We're always suspect of something. We're always being suspected. If we walk in a store, people
not
following
suspected.
us.
Not
we're
suspected.
always suspected.
They were 98% of the people who
for us.
committed those crimes, right? So when they were only being targeted at 80%, the actual people who were being targeted too much were the Muslims, were the Asians, were the white people who didn't have anything to do with that gun crime in that period, right?
The bottom line,
they were
we are
unfairly
suspected
targeted.
for almost everything.
My
when
point
black
is-
people walk in somewhere, we're suspected of
I'm
stuff,
not
and
s-
we're punished oftentimes
Sure.
by people's suspicions.
So
So
true.
when we look at other
Yeah.
people and say, okay, that person might victimize me,
Yeah.
that's not being incorrect. That's not reverse racism.
Right.
That's us being cautious. That's all it is.
So what you're saying, you're justifying your racism through racism.
You cannot be a racist if you are a powerless person. Racism is systematic. Outside of name calling, tell me what racism can black people practice and get away with?
Charlemagne can practice racism right now. Charlemagne can decide that he doesn't want to hire people that are Asian for his many shows. Oprah can practice racism. Barack Obama can practice racism.
But you're proving his point, though, because we're in positions of power. He said the powerless.
I know. But you think because he's black that black people don't have power. I think that's the most racist idea right there. I think the fact that you look at black people as powerless is incredibly racist and crippling to black mentality. I think it's really wrong.
So me and Charlemagne, we can not hire Asian people, and that's racist?
If you're doing it specifically because you don't want to hire Asians, yeah, you have the power to do that. You're a person of power. You have
that's
economic.
discrimination.
Now,
You're
first of all, not only is that discrimination. Now, furthermore,
But are black people doing that? I mean, you're talking about a hypothetical thing. I'm saying, show me where black people are even in a position to hire a lot of Asian people.
I just showed you
But
two.
I will say, even if you're poor, if you're poor and white, right?
One point, Charlemagne.
Right.
Now, if your point is that you need economic power to oppress, so all those poor
group
white
power,
people,
group power,
all
group
those poor
power.
white people that vote for Trump, they must not be racist.
Group power, and the economics comes with them aggregating small amounts of money.
Okay.
See, we don't have that group power.
Why
we don't
not?
have that. We don't because
Black
of white
people shift
supremacy.
elections.
Because of white.
Black people
they
shift
elections
entire elections
with their numbers, but not with their money.
You just said
No,
group power.
Tariq,
I
I can show you where racism is dangerous to a powerless people. Like, I'm from South Carolina.
Yeah.
So if I go to one of these white trailer parks with a bunch of poor and disenfranchised people, regardless of how much money I got, if they're racist against me, it could be a dangerous situation.
Yes, indeed. Exactly. Because you can't have two supremes. There's no such thing as black supremacy. That's a contradiction of terms. Supreme means no higher than, end all, be all. So you have white supremacy, and supreme means I can kill you ultimately and do it with impunity. That's all it means at the end of the day.
Sure.
And the only people who can do that to us are the white supremacists. We can't do that to anybody else.
Manson
So
Musa
you-
was a black supremacist.
You define. He just didn't know any white guys.
$400 billion. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
So you define power now. It's not in terms of economics. Before it was economics, but you've shifted your argument to saying it's just killing someone and getting away with it.
No. I didn't shift the argument. I'm just telling you what supreme
Well, we
means.
debunked your economic theory, so
No,
now
you didn't.
you're going into
No,
murdering.
you didn't.
We absolutely.
How did
proved
you
it
debunk my
because
economic
you
theory?
have economic power. I'm assuming this is just me assuming that you have economic power.
Who, me as an individual?
You as an individual.
Right.
Tariq
No, I
Nasheed-
don't. I'm just a black person with a couple of dollars. But
Fine.
I don't have
Charlemagne
economic power.
has economic power.
A powerless black. Listen,
He has the ability to
I'm-
hire. He has the ability to staff entire television shows. He has the ability to staff writing rooms.
Listen, that's
He
a
has the
part of it.
ability-
But if I'm a powerless black
Staff
person,
radio
a powerless
rooms.
A
black
white person is not going to suffer if I don't hire him. Let's be very real.
But
An
Tariq-
Asian person ain't going to suffer if I don't hire him.
but-
Black people,
Black people aren't going to suffer if he doesn't hire them either.
But we're going to have to go to some white person to hire us. For the most part, very few of us have economic independence, unfortunately, in the system of white supremacy. We go over that
Very few white
hump.
people have economic independence.
Oh, please.
Let me ask you a question.
Absolutely.
That's
very
not true.
few white people have independence. Do you
Well,
know how poor white people are?
Who has all the wealth in the country?
Didn't you grow up in the middle of the country?
20% though.
Yeah, but still,
That's
that
1%.
1%.
But that's the 1%. So you're defining
1%
all
is
white people by the 1%. Do you see how your arguments keep falling apart?
No, that 1%, they
You're
control the
shifting-
wealth and the
yeah, but what
resources
you're
in
doing
this
is you're
country, and black
taking-
folks are still under that thumb. We still have to go to that
So
1%.
are poor white people. Those poor white people who lost their houses in that mortgage crisis.
Right.
They were taken advantage by the exact
And
same
they have
1%.
no problem voting for Trump as long as he's going to keep the Negroes down just a little
They
bit further.
voted for Trump for the same reason why black people who voted for Barack Obama voted for Trump, because they want jobs, and they are anti-establishment votes. This election was not about racism; it was about anti-establishment.
Now, come on, now when you at the rally yelling nigga, go back to Africa.
Every
Come on,
election,
dude.
every election is going to be about. There are going to be a certain amount of people that are doing it for racist issues.
Trump has had a
Every
career
single
of
one.
practicing white supremacy against black people, man.
Here's a question, Tariq.
what I'm saying is
the
there are
four
black
brothers in
people who
Chicago. Hold on a
voted
second,
for him. Yeah.
The four people in Chicago, they were all powerless.
Yeah.
But that is a prime example of powerless people still practicing racism.
Which is this?
In Chicago, where they tortured the white
Oh, they
dude.
kidnapped the kid. Yeah.
But they beat the guy up, but
Yeah,
that was
they
just
beat him
that
up.
was
They said, "Fuck white people, fuck Donald Trump."
and that was just name calling. They beat the dude up, and after they beat him up, their asses went to jail less than 24 hours. Got
As they
charged with
should've.
hate crimes. Right.
As they
that's
should've.
Where's the racism? Because racism is systematic. There was no system that protected
no.
them.
Racism
there was no
is not
union.
systematic.
It is systematic.
That's a change
look
of
at
the
the word.
that's the
Look at
change
the
of
word
the definition.
racism. Ism is systematic.
Racism is
Racism is
if we look
systematic.
it up, racism is
It's a
prejudice based on race.
A system.
No,
that's prejudice based on race.
No, system is
That's
something
why
that was added into it in the last 5 years. so
Outside
that
of
people
name
can push a
calling, we
narrative.
don't get away with being racist to
There's
nobody.
a difference between name calling and violence. These
Right.
people were
We
violent
don't get to be
and they kidnapped
violent,
somebody.
and they got punished immediately.
Absolutely,
where
they
white
should.
people who
They should.
practice racism, they can punish us and walk around free, and nothing happens to them.
That's not true.
That's a good point.
No, that's not true.
What do you mean
Listen,
that's not true?
You're
what
saying,
happened to Pantaleo? The person who killed Eric Garner, the person who killed Tamir Rice, the person who killed Freddie Gray.
So you're giving me 4 examples.
I can give more. I can just be here all day.
So you're giving me
I can give you several
popular examples.
I can give you several examples of that happening
When
over and
we've
over again.
already-
Walter Scott. I can go on and on and on and on
Sure.
and on.
Zimmerman.
All of them.
Okay.
I mean, throughout history. I mean,
All
especially
right.
here in New York.
I mean,
Right.
we go back to the lynchings and all that. None of them
Because
got
we're
punished.
familiar with these examples.
Right.
But they've done studies. There was a Harvard professor that did this study.
Okay.
Black Harvard professor that did this study.
Don't matter. Token. Okay, go ahead.
I know he's
I
token
hate when
because
people
you
try
just-
to point out
you
somebody's
disagree
black.
with him and he's
I
token.
hate when they say he's black, so that means he's about to maintain white supremacy. You
The
get
reason
some black
why
person
I say
to,
the
okay,
reason
go
why
ahead.
I say he's black is because he saw this he saw this incredible racial injustice with all these black people being killed by the police, and he was a economics professor. So what he decided to do is take it upon himself to prove systematically and statistically that this was happening to black people beyond a shadow of a doubt. And his research showed that black people were harassed more by the cops, pushed up against walls more by the cops, handcuffed more by the cops at a higher percentage, and spoken disrespectfully during these interactions at a higher percentage than black people. But when it came to being killed by the cops, white people were killed more by the cops than black people, even in situations where the cops had the right to shoot, by 18%. Now,
The reason why, Schultz, is because more white people kill police officers. And not only that,
wait, what?
more white people kill police officers. Last year alone,
now you're talking about numbers.
Let him
71% of the police officers that were shot by white males.
Yes.
So more white people kill cops. So yeah, cops
What
are going to
percentage
shoot.
of white people are there in the country?
80%? What is it?
70%. So they're right
Okay.
on par. They shot the
Right.
exact amount of cops they're supposed to.
Exactly. So why are they
It's
killing?
horrible.
So
It
why are they
sounds
killing? So
horrible.
why unarmed black people getting killed when you have the people over here, the white supremacists of white people shooting you the most?
Yeah, and the
and
reverse-
also you
No,
have you have the Cliven Bundys and all these people who would take up arms against law
Okay.
enforcement for months at a time, and these people don't get punished.
And the
Real
reverse
quick,
to that argument, too, real
Charlamagne,
quick.
we need- I just wanna-
The reverse to that argument is also, if it's more white people, then the black people shouldn't be getting harassed more by the cops.
yeah, and
Like,
I got a roll too. By the
So
way.
I know you
no.
gotta- you
I
gotta
didn't
go.
say. I said they were getting harassed at a higher percentage. The point is, the point about the shooting was there's this untrue narrative that is being put out there that you are supporting right now. This
What's
idea
untrue? What is it?
That,
Untrue.
that cops are killing black people at a higher rate than they're killing white people. They're not. They're killing white people at a higher percentage that they're killing black people.
But they are not
And
unarmed white people.
statistical
Though. They're not
evidence
unarmed
proves
white
it.
people. They're not unarmed white people.
They-
Schultz. Also, the FBI put out.
Let me just finish and I give it to you. Let me finish and I give it to you. Let me just finish and I give it to you.
Okay.
There, not only are white people being killed at a higher percentage than black people by the
Who are
cops,
not unarmed, but go ahead.
armed black people who the cops had 100% right to shoot because they were armed or they're attacking the cop are still killed at a lower percentage than white people.
The FBI put out a memo in 2006 stating.
You should look it up.
Stating,
Harvard and Washington Post.
The FBI put out a memo stating that white supremacist organizations, they've infiltrated law enforcement. They were warning people of this in 2006.
This has been around for a while, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Do you think that doesn't have any bearing on black people getting killed disproportionately who are unarmed?
So what you do is when you do one of these studies,
That's a no.
no, and I'll tell you why. Because what you do when you do
that's
these
white
studies,
supremacy denial.
well, again, just because I disagree with you, you can't just say white supremacy. Maybe you should hear what I have to say, and then you can
It's
disagree.
kind of I'm white and I say so though, Schultz. That's the thing though.
No, I'm telling you
And
no.
then you throw out a bunch of.
I'm telling you no, but I'm
Well,
telling you
okay.
specifically why.
We got to wrap this up soon. So let's finish your final point.
So,
Go ahead.
So, what you do when you do a statistical analysis at that level, when you're one of these like Harvard institutions, is you adjust for all these types of variables, right? You don't just do one police precinct, you do 1,000 police precincts across the country. And when you do that, you get a diverse enough group and a diverse enough information that will offset these variables. I mean, statistical analysis at this level is done to make sure and ensure that you're not going to have these biases infiltrated. Is it 100% accurate? Absolutely not. You'll have maybe a 90% accuracy rate with a standard deviation of, a few percent, right? So within like 2 standard deviations of the mean, you'll be accurate. Right?
Translation: black people get killed by these suspected white supremacist race soldiers, and we got these stats to justify why we do it. That's all you just said.
You're just
Schultz.
being lazy, dude.
That's not lazy.
You're smarter than
What you're
this.
trying to do
That's
is
what
mental.
bothers me,
You're
dude.
trying to do
It
verbal
bothers me
gymnastics,
that
Schultz.
that you're
that's
smarter than
that's verbal gymnastics you're
All
trying
I'll
to
say
do.
is
Well,
this.
the variables of the percentage
I'm
shows
very-
that disproportionate numbers
Just
of the
'cause
race.
you don't understand it doesn't mean it's verbal
gymnastics.
To you,
that's
it
all
is.
it is.
To other people,
what
it's
you
just
said made
watching.
0 sense.
It's because you don't understand
You think I don't
statistics.
catch what you're saying? See, a lot of black folks, they hear a white guy say a bunch of numbers and all of these 4-syllable words, and they think this is a deep white man. What you said was completely full of shit. And you're my dude. Now, I'm not saying that to be disrespectful.
I don't think
I
you
know
are.
it's full of shit.
I think you're saying
a lot of
'cause you
folks don't know.
you're
But
just not
the thing,
familiar with it.
the point is,
So, yeah.
according to the FBI, I'm going back to the point. I make it very simple. I like to make it very plain. They've said that white supremacist organizations, they've infiltrated law enforcement. There's books out talking about how they were going to infiltrate law enforcement and target black people. There's emails and phone records and text records showing that there are white supremacists in these precincts targeting black people. It comes out almost every other month. Black people are being targeted and harmed because they know that they're not going to be punished if they do so. And not only will they not be punished, these race soldiers are being rewarded for harming black people. It's just that simple. We can do the verbal gymnastics, but I like to keep things very plain.
Give me statistics.
I like to look at the raw numbers. The raw
Give me the
numbers
raw
is
numbers.
that very rarely do white males
Very rarely
go to
is not
jail.
a statistic.
Go to jail.
That's not a number.
I'm just making it plain. I'm just making it
No,
plain
you're
for the
making
cheap
it
seats.
bullshit.
I'm making it plain for the
This
cheap
is how
seats.
you bullshit it.
Well, the
You give me a
variables of
statistic.
the inconclusive evidence of I'm making it very plain. Show
You
me.
can Google all this stuff.
You can Google. Show
then
me
give me
the
the
large
statistic.
numbers of
Give
white.
me one number.
Hell, just give me a large
Give me
number.
one
I'm giving
number.
you. Give me a number of large
I
numbers
just
of
gave
white
you.
people going to jail for killing black people in law enforcement.
Give me a number, Tariq.
Who are the white people going to jail for killing black people, especially unarmed black
you're
people?
asking for specific
Schultz.
names. That's
Show
not
me.
numbers.
No, give me a name.
Okay?
That's making it very
Data
plain. Show
is
me
what creates
who
an
are
answer.
so every
You
black
don't
person
have
killed by a
data.
white person is justified.
Because your argument is lazy.
So is every black person killed by a white
Absolutely
person?
not.
So
And
why
vice
do
versa,
why do
it's
they not go to
justified.
jail, Schultz?
And
Why
they do.
not? Who?
You're assuming
Who?
that they don't.
Who?
There
Name
are
them,
people
Schultz.
that go to jail
Schultz,
all the time.
Name them.
You're speaking
I
about
need-
police officers specifically?
Yeah, let's do specifically cops.
Gotcha.
So I want you to just give me one statistic. You haven't given me one number all day.
You're trying to give it back to me. I'm asking you something. I'll give
me a number.
Give me a name.
Give me a name
of
to
white
back up
people
what you're saying.
who are police officers going to jail, killing unarmed black people.
I've given you better than one name. I've given you a statistical analysis across
the whole
country.
Give me a name. Let's make it. My education level is kind of slow. I just need to break it down.
Bullshit. You're a smart dude. I know you're a smart dude.
I dropped out of school.
I know.
Just give me a name.
I don't care about school.
I'm good on names.
I don't care about school.
I didn't do good at math. Just give me a name.
I need a number.
All right, we're talking. We're just talking past each other at this point.
Now,
but
Tariq,
I gotta go.
I know. Listen, I really appreciate you coming by.
Indeed.
I'm being dead serious with it, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I mean this. I'm being dead serious. I've said this a couple times. I think you're incredibly gifted at communicating. Sir. I fucking mean that.
Yeah.
I really wish that you put more of an effort in terms of compiling these arguments and getting statistical backups for these arguments and proving them because. Dude, I'm not joking. I'm being dead serious. I talk about Charlemagne like this. I think he's an unbelievable communicator. Probably the most talented person I've ever worked with.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of your ability to communicate, you're up there, dude. I just think you're being lazy with these arguments because you're so good and you're not competing with anybody. And I want you to put the work in.
What's your final thoughts, Tariq?
Schultz, he has to get out of white supremacy denial. That whole denial of white supremacy, that's very dangerous. Black folks don't need to fall for that. It's bad for white society as well. We shouldn't have a system of white supremacy at all.
I agree.
That shit should be alleviated. So you should be one of the people on the forefront calling that shit out when you see it instead of trying to disprove white supremacy. Let us know who the white supremacists are. That's all I have to say.
All right, I'm going to CC you.
Oh, yes.
My man Tariq, thank you, my brother.
I got to get a picture with Schultz. Do it.
Yes, please. Well, all of us. All
of us, yeah.
Listen,
I really appreciate you coming, man.
Special edition of the Brilliant Idiots. Thank you, my man Tariq Nasheed, for coming through. As always, if you listen to this podcast, you think we're smart, you think we're intelligent, you think we're brilliant, you're absolutely right. If you think we're just a couple of idiots who don't know shit, you're right, too. It's the Brilliant Idiots podcast. Thank you for listening.